Luna gently lifted a corner of the duvet, choosing the outer side of the bed to lie down, leaving the space against the wall for Cole. The comforter was light yet warm, just like the one he had bought her a month ago, only wider. She lay with her dark, shimmering eyes wide open, curiously taking in the room. The large bay window was easily big enough for a person to lounge on. Once the weather warmed up, she imagined, it would be the perfect spot to curl up with a book and a cushion. The sound of the shower running in the bathroom filled the air, and for some reason, Luna felt a profound sense of peace. It was something akin to the feeling of home, a sensation she hadn't truly known since her father passed away and her mother remarried. Suddenly, the water shut off. Luna's heart leaped, and a wave of nervousness washed over her. She burrowed deeper under the covers. He's coming. He's coming. Cole walked out of the bathroom, his expression a mask of calm that betrayed a heart hammering at 100 beats per minute. All he could see in the bed was a cascade of black hair fanned out across the pillow. The rest of her was hidden. But why is she on the outside? It didn't matter. This wasn't important. A grin spread across his face. Here I come, he whispered, feeling like the big bad wolf from a fairy tale. The person under the covers didn't make a sound, but seemed to shrink even further into the bedding. Cole climbed onto the bed, happily clambering over to the inside, and slipped into the already fragrant sheets. He suddenly realized he probably didn't need to change the bedding after all. They used the same body wash. The shampoo was different, though. Okay, better safe than sorry. A thorough hair inspection is required. Cole, the ever-cautious, smirked to himself and shifted a little closer. He plunged his head under the covers, as if searching for buried treasure, and found her. She was curled into a tight ball, arms crossed over her chest. As he drew nearer, her breathing grew rapid and shallow, a sweet, fruity scent washing over his face. At first, Cole had been curious about that taste. He'd wondered if it was her toothpaste, but he'd since discovered she used mitt. This was all her. It must be, he mused, a sign of how pure she was on the inside. Jasmine and Serena were the same way. You haven't turned off the light, Luna whispered, her eyelashes fluttering. Her heart pounded at the thought of what would happen when the room went dark. I'll get it, Cole said, quickly reaching out from under the covers to flick the switch on the headboard. A part of him didn't want to. The view was much better with the lights on. The room plunged into darkness. Luna instantly felt a wave of relief. The person beside her began to inch closer again, a thief trying to steal a bell while plugging his own ears. Finally, he was right there. They could feel each other's breath. Lou. Cole extended his left arm, but the inexperienced Luna didn't understand the gesture at first. It was only when his arm slid beneath her neck that she got the hint, tilting her head back to rest in the crook of his elbow. Lou, that pajama top is pretty thick. You're going to get hot. Cole deployed the classic line. Luna bit her lip, silent for a moment. Then, with a soft rustle, the pajama top landed on the nightstand. She settled back into his arm. Cole's heart went wild. His other hand snaked around, pulling her into his embrace. It was the first time they had ever been this close. Luna didn't dare move, her face burning. Her hands remained a barrier over her chest. To ease her nerves, Cole started talking, making small talk about anything and everything. As they chatted, their lips somehow found each other. The sweet, fruity taste was intoxicating. He kissed her until they were both breathless, reluctantly pulling away from her soft lips only to peck them twice more, savoring the sweetness. Then he dove his head back under the covers. Luna hid her face in her hands, mortified. Lou. Cole's voice was shaky, his eyes fixed on her. Luna knew what was coming. She just kept her face covered, unable to look, unable to answer. She felt 2 warm drops land on her stomach, and had a bad feeling. She pulled her hands away from her face and gasped. Oh my God, you're having another nosebleed. For Luna, Cole's nosebleed was far more important than anything else. Forgetting her shyness and the cold, she scrambled out from under the covers and grabbed the box of tissues she kept on her nightstand. Tissues she prepared in case she caught a cold. Really? Seeing her get up like that, the nosebleed only intensified. Cole cupped his hands to catch the blood, trying to keep it off the sheets. He was kneeling there, hands outstretched, looking like a beggar in a strange and embarrassing pose. Luna couldn't help but cover her mouth to stifle a giggle. Cole gave a sheepish grin, his toes nearly digging a hole in the mattress. After the blood was cleaned up and his hands were washed, the bed fell silent again. Cole had 2 wads of tissue stuffed up his nostrils. But a true warrior does not retreat from the battlefield just because of a little blood. After a brief pause, Cole the scoundrel snuggled closer. Brother. In the pitch-black room, a low cry escaped Luna's lips, one she desperately hoped no one could hear, punctuated by the faint glow of a phone screen occasionally peeking through a gap in the covers. The long night was an eternity, and yet it was over in a flash. The first light of dawn traced the edge of the curtains. Luna had been awake for a while, her head buried in Cole's chest as she feigned sleep. It had been the most insane night of her life, an intimacy she hadn't dared to imagine. Her lips were swollen from kissing, to say nothing of everything else. The memory alone was enough to make her blush. Her heart was now completely tied to the man in front of her. Cole didn't wake up until 8. They had stayed up far too late. He'd used up nearly the entire box of tissues wiping his own drool, worried the dampness would make the little kitten catch cold. "Brother, we should get up. We have class today," Luna murmured, her face pressed against his chest, listening to the steady thump of his heart. She didn't dare make any unnecessary movements, afraid of provoking another round of his relentless teasing. But the words had barely left her mouth before it was too late. Cole grunted in agreement, but showed no signs of actually getting out of bed. On a morning like this, with someone so fragrant beside him, sleeping in was the only logical choice. They cuddled for a while longer. Even though they hadn't gone all the way for a dog like Cole who'd seen a share of the world, this was a different kind of thrill. "My darling Luna, you're going to have to tutor me for the next few days," Cole said with immense willpower after they had finished their breakfast. He had no choice. He was falling too far behind, and finals were just around the corner. Some of his general education classes overlapped with the accounting departments, and others with the law schools. One tutor for each subject, he thought. Luna's lips curled into a smile. The words, "my darling Luna," were like glass marbles, bouncing around inside her heart, making it sing. She was ecstatic. Okay. She knew Cole skipped class often, which sounded bad, but she understood it was about making choices. If he didn't skip, he would never have time to get so much done. Her only regret was that she couldn't help him more. Just then, Cole's phone rang. The phone, which had served him so well last night, was on the nightstand by Luna's side. She reached out a slender, pale arm and handed it to him. Cole glanced at the screen. It was Wyatt. "Hey man, Cole, you need to get to the office now. Someone poached Will. We're being targeted." A knot formed in Cole's stomach. It was finally happening, and sooner than he'd expected. The success of Headline Today in the University District was bound to attract wolves. And now, they were here. Will had been the last programmer to join the engineering team, a pretty sharp kid. "I'm on my way." "Cole, I'm so sorry. I'm the one who hired him. This is my responsibility," Wyatt said, his voice heavy with guilt. "It's not your fault, Wyatt. People change. We just have to focus on what we're doing," Cole said, trying to reassure him. Even the tech titans of the future couldn't avoid having their people poached. Who was Cole to think he was any different? "But don't worry," Wyatt continued. "Will wasn't exposed to much. The core architecture is still in the hands of me, Jenna, Marcus, and Leo. He was only responsible for the web crawlers that populate the news feed and the trending data framework. At most, he knows how we do things, but he won't be able to replicate it quickly, even if he finds people." "Okay, we'll talk more when I get there." Cole breathed a sigh of relief. Wyatt was reliable. The high salary had been worth it. After he hung up, Luna looked at him with concern. She had overheard parts of the call and knew someone had jumped ship. How could someone be so ungrateful? She thought, Cole pays so well. "My darling Luna, you should get some more sleep." "I gotta go to the office," Cole said as he got up and started dressing. "I'm not sleepy. I'll go with you." There was no way Luna was going to stay here alone. Hiding under the covers, she shyly put on her bra and had Cole hand her the rest of her clothes. Cole pulled out a new toothbrush for her. After they both washed up, they went out for breakfast together. When they arrived at the office, the atmosphere was heavy. There was an empty desk in the engineering department. "What's with all the long faces? It's not like the world is ending. We're on a roll." Cole joked. Poaching was a normal part of the game. He'd done it himself when he ran his own companies. In the business world, you poach me, I poach you. Still, he was very interested in who was behind this, who had the foresight to target him. He gave Wyatt a look, and the two of them headed for the small conference room, only to find it occupied. Cole had the content moderators and customer service team from 1521 temporarily relocate to 1520. "Cole, I need to own up to this. It was a failure of my judgment," Wyatt said, standing and giving a deep bow. They had just started this venture, and just as things were about to blossom, this happened. He was blaming himself completely. "It's a small thing," Cole said, waving it off. "Tell me about Will. I met him at a student government event a while back. He seemed like a solid guy, from a decent family. The only thing that's changed recently is he got a girlfriend." "A girlfriend?" Cole raised an eyebrow. Could the other side have sent a honey trap? It was the most likely possibility. In the world of corporate poaching, There were two main tools. For the greedy, you throw money. For the lustful, you throw women. And where did the women come from? There was no shortage of aspiring actresses, or those without formal training, but plenty of natural talent, who were willing to play a part. Hell, you could get the old lady from the corner store to act out a whole drama for the right price, let alone a professional. Finding someone to take the job was easy. They get paid by the target and by the client. Why wouldn't they do it? They'd deliver an Oscar-worthy performance, completely dazzling the mark. Cole had even orchestrated it himself in his past life. He'd met a girl at a massage parlor who had a real gift for it. A paralyzed husband, a brother in school, a baby crying for milk. She could spin a tale that made you want to be the hero. She was a natural. He'd hired her, and she'd successfully compromised the other company's operations manager. It wasn't a poach, though, but a demolition. The woman had even managed to rise from the ashes, using the money Cole gave her to open a convenience store. According to her Facebook, she got married less than a year later. Some lucky guy. When used correctly, they were as effective as Mystique from X-Men. Yeah, I've never met her, but I saw her on his Facebook. She's pretty, but not on the level of our director of operations or our CFO, Wyatt said, smoothly slipping a compliment. The flattery landed perfectly, and Cole mentally devoured it. Right, don't worry about it. I'll get a lawyer to handle this. Cole's brow relaxed. A non-compete agreement can stop an honorable person, but not a scoundrel. The other party could get around it. All Cole wanted was the compensation paid in full. He was curious to see just how much the other side was willing to spend on Will. The smarter they were, the less they'd want to spend. After Wyatt went back to work, Cole considered his legal options. Serena wasn't ready for this yet. Just as he was thinking of her, his phone rang. Hey, Cole. Serena's signature greeting always had a playful, lilting tone at the end, not quite whiny, but melodic, like a daughter calling for her father. What's up, baby? Cole said, the image of having a daughter, someday, flashing through his mind. Cole, why did you call me baby? Serena's voice on the other end was full of surprise, quickly followed by pure joy. Cole could practically picture her eyes crinkling into crescents, a huge smile on her face. He grinned shamelessly. Well, aren't you my baby? The term baby was used universally by couples. Its origin was lost to time. It just seemed to have appeared one day. Eventually, it got shortened to just babe. But this was the first time Cole had ever used it. In his past life, he was too much of a simp to use it, and after he'd turned to the dark side, he didn't want to. If everyone was your babe, did the word even mean anything? He just called them you. Ugh, better not to dwell on the past. Cole shook the thoughts from his head. He heard Serena's sweet voice. Cole, I love it when you call me that. I love it so much. I want to be your baby. Okay, my good little baby. Having just feasted on his ultimate fantasy last night, Cole was feeling particularly shameless. Serena giggled on the other end, a sound like a flower blooming. After a moment, she seemed to remember why she'd called. Cole, I saw in the group chat. Do you need a lawyer? I can't help you yet, but I can find you a top lawyer. Oh, you know a top lawyer? Cole was intrigued. To be called a top lawyer was no small thing. I know someone who knows a top lawyer. Should I contact him for you? Serena asked. Will he even help, baby? Cole figured it was a minor issue, not something a big-shot lawyer would bother with. Don't worry. He'll definitely arrange for someone, Serena said, her voice full of confidence. All right, then. You can contact him for me. Tell him not to worry about the fee. I can even hire him on a long-term retainer as our legal counsel until you're ready to take over. Okay, I'll contact him now. Cole, I need you to call me that one more time. My little baby, Cole the Shameless quickly supplied, laying it on even thicker. I love hearing that. I'm so happy. Okay, I'm going to make the call now. All right, thanks for your hard work, baby. Not at all. At the law school, Serena sat on a planter not far from her classroom and dialed a number. When the call connected, she immediately chirped, Hi, Mr. Zhang, it's me, Serena. The voice on the other end belonged to a man who sounded to be in his 50s, his tone warm and cheerful. Mr. Zhang, you're such a busy man. I wouldn't dare bother you all the time, Serena said sweetly. Nonsense, child. Your Aunt Lou and I wish you'd call every day. Now, tell me, is there something Uncle Arthur can help you with? Well, there's a tiny little thing I need your help with, Uncle Arthur, Serena said, explaining the situation with a hint of embarrassment. Haha, don't you worry. I'll arrange for a top-notch lawyer to head over there. He'll meet with you first, then you can take him to meet whoever it is. Let that young man owe you a favor. That's wonderful. Thank you, Uncle Arthur. Come visit your Aunt Lou and me more often. She was just talking about you the other day. By the way, Serena, is this young man a classmate of yours, or just a classmate? A very good classmate. He just started his own business, and it's tough for him to run into something like this. Serena didn't dare say she was his baby. Her family and the Chins would know in a heartbeat. She couldn't let anything slip until the time was right. Back in room 1520 at the Venture Lab, Cole was surprised at how quickly things were moving. He lavished praise on Serena. He'd known her background was impressive. He just didn't know how impressive. He never asked. Some things were best left for the other person to share when they were ready. Pushing would only create pressure. Knowing Serena, she would tell him when the time was right. Ping! A Facebook message popped up. It was from Jasmine. Jasmine. Cole, keep your head up. Employee turnover is normal. Just follow the legal process. Cole's eyes twinkled as he typed back. Cole, I'm so hurt, so sad. Sis, can you comfort me again sometime soon? Crying face Jasmine. And how would I do that? Cole swallowed hard. Cole, I think if I saw you in some lacy, black thigh highs, I'd get my fighting spirit back. Jasmine, is that all you think about? Get back to work. Cole, okay. Cole smacked his lips. Ugh, he'd been too direct. Returning to the office, he saw everyone walking on eggshells, as if they were afraid of upsetting him. It's not like the boss ran off with the money. Why the long faces? He joked. A wave of awkward laughter rippled through the room, but the tension immediately dissipated. Wyatt, let's hire a replacement, Cole said, looking at him. Already on it. I got a guy starting tomorrow. People are chomping at the bit to work here. Wyatt gave him an okay sign. With the salaries Cole was offering, finding talented people wasn't a problem. Programmers from other companies on their floor had even been quietly asking about openings. Though they didn't know the exact salaries, the freedom and flexible hours were reason enough. The salaries of the Headline Today engineering team were confidential, especially those of the 4 founding members, Wyatt, Jenna, Leo, and Marcus. They were tight-lipped, and not even Fiona knew the numbers. The department head salaries were also confidential. The only way the number could have leaked was through Will, the poacher's prize. But the more he leaked, the better. His new boss would just think he was inflating his value to drive up his price. The incident with Will didn't dampen the work ethic of the rest of the team. The following afternoon, Serena arrived with a young man in his early 30s. He was a lawyer from the state capital, with the last name Zhao. He was of average height and appearance, with a gentle look in his eyes that didn't give much away. Since he had traveled all this way to help, Cole certainly wasn't going to be rude. Hearing that Mr. Zhao had spent the whole afternoon on the road, he immediately invited him out for a meal. Serena, of course, joined them. It was clear that Mr. Zhao was extremely respectful toward Serena, bordering on sycophantic. Toward Cole, however, he was merely polite. Cole didn't mind. He explained the situation and handed over the documents he had prepared. All right, just sign a power of attorney form, and you can leave the rest to me, Mr. Zhao said. He didn't drink alcohol, only tea. Then I'll leave it in your hands, Mr. Zhao. Cole felt a sense of relief. The lawyer exuded a calm confidence, tinged with a slight arrogance. People who made a living off their technical skills were often like that, and law was a deeply technical field. After the meal, Mr. Zhao insisted on heading back. Seeing he couldn't be persuaded to stay, Cole bought 2 boxes of decent tea as a gift. The legal battle wouldn't be resolved overnight. All he could do was wait patiently for the results. Mr. Zhao repeatedly refused the gift, only accepting with a smile after Serena said, "Just take it." Cole wasn't fazed by Serena's apparent status. He believed in the old saying, risk it all, and you can even win a princess. He would accept her kindness, but he wouldn't intentionally leverage her background. He had his own pride. Serena still had class, so on the way to drop her off at the law school, Cole said, "When you have time in the evenings for the next few days, could you help me catch up on my English?" He didn't sound very confident. He was so far behind that he doubted tutoring would even help. But he had to at least try before resorting to pleading with the university administration. Right now, he was still just Cole, not Steve Jobs. Even with Headline Today's recent fame, it wasn't enough to make a splash at a prestigious institution like Eastwood, which had produced countless influential figures. Not unless Headline Today made an even bigger breakthrough. Yeah, we can have our tutoring sessions at home, he thought. It's quiet at the apartment, perfect for studying. If you say, "Baby, please help me study," then I'll agree, Serena said, lifting her chin proudly. "Baby," Cole chuckled, leaning in to plant a loud kiss on her rosy cheek. "Please help me study." "All right, I'll do it." A blush crept up Serena's cheeks, and her eyes sparkled with a sweet light. There were students all around them. This guy, he just kissed his baby in front of everyone, and his baby was feeling very shy about it. Their blatant display of affection earned them more than a few eye rolls for passersby. What the hell? Are we invisible? That evening, Cole returned to his dorm early. Both of his tutors had class, so he had to try and study on his own. Frank was clattering away at his keyboard. Lately, he hadn't been going anywhere, just coming straight back after class to write. His book, Stardom Reborn, The Entertainment Mogul, was now being serialized on Headline today. Although it wasn't very long yet, the response had been overwhelmingly positive, and he was already seeing some decent income. Frank was completely immersed in his plot, the pain of his recent breakup buried deep in his heart. Preston and Javier didn't dare speak too loudly, afraid of disturbing the future best-selling author's creative process. But it wasn't the three of them who were distracting Frank. It was his own phone. It kept pinging with Facebook messages. Frank would often pause to reply, his writing efficiency dropping noticeably. Suddenly, he swiveled in his chair, his gaze complicated as he looked at his three roommates. My girlfriend says she wants to get back together. What do you guys think I should do? Cole paused, giving him a meaningful look. You mean your ex-girlfriend? What the hell, Frank? Are you a masochist? Preston, who had been at his computer, spun around so fast his chair screeched against the floor. Javier teleported over. Frank, do you have a thing for getting cheated on? I just feel. Frank looked conflicted, stammering. You feel like you have a cuckold fetish? Javier patted the top of Frank's head. You're the one with the fetish. Frank swatted Javier's hand away. Frank, man, what's so great about that girl that you can't let her go? Preston said, flicking his hair with a profound expression. Why not be like me? Free and easy. Single forever. Happy forever. Did you two forget about the time we were handing out flyers for you? Frank retorted with a purse of his lips. Damn it, dude. Preston and Javier, stung by the memory, decided they had nothing more in common with Frank and retreated to their respective corners. Cole, what do you think I should do? Frank still believed the advice of the King of Conquests would be the most reliable. That's on you, man. How can I tell you what to do? Cole had no intention of making someone else's decision for them. If things went south later, he'd be the one to blame. Come on, Cole. Your opinion is really important to me, Frank pleaded, his eyes practically begging for someone to throw him a ladder so he could climb back down into the relationship. Cole considered it for a moment. Frank's new book was taking off, and he could soon add pay-per-view ads to it. He couldn't afford to let him get distracted. Let me see what she said. Frank didn't hesitate, handing over his phone. Preston and Javier, their interest piqued, scrambled over to get a look. Frank didn't stop them, thinking it wouldn't hurt to let them see his appeal. Being begged to get back together was proof of his charm, right? Cole scanned the chat history. Lindsay sent you a friend request. Lindsay, hey, how have you been? Frank, fine. What's up? Lindsay, just wanted to talk. Frank, I'm kind of busy. Lindsay, I feel like you've changed a lot lately. I still like the old you better. Lindsay, these past few days, I can't stop thinking about all the time we spent together. Lindsay, I really miss you. Frank, what are you trying to say? Lindsay, I just wanted to tell you how I really feel. At least this way, I won't have any regrets. Frank, and then, Lindsay, you should get back to work. I think I'm going to go for a walk to clear my head. The chat ended there. Cole silently gave the girl a thumbs up. Her skills were formidable. She was seemingly asking to get back together, but in reality, she was controlling every step of the conversation, leaving Frank with the burden of the decision. Judging by his reaction, he was completely hooked. This wasn't some naive freshman. She was a seasoned pro. Cole thought back to the quiet, gentle girl he'd met once and felt a jarring sense of dissonance. Cole, what do you think? Frank asked, staring at him expectantly. This is really up to you. When it comes to personal feelings, who else can say? Cole remembered a classic thought experiment from his past life. If you could travel back in time, what would you tell your 20-year-old self? The top voted answer was, it's useless. Your 20-year-old self won't listen to a damn thing you say. If you couldn't even convince yourself, how could you convince someone else? Cole looked down for a moment, then added, I'll give you a piece of advice. If the conversation turns to fruit, run. What? Frank didn't understand. Just remember it. Cole said mysteriously, not elaborating. He did a quick mental calculation. The iPhone 4 had just been released yesterday. Could it be that she was about to ask Frank to buy one for her? The timing was too perfect. Of course, it was also possible that he, Cole, was projecting his own cynical mind onto this master manipulator. Given Frank's behavior, he would probably get back with her anyway. Saying anything more would be useless. Better to let him walk into it himself. The pain would wake him up eventually. Only a veteran like Cole could see through this kind of routine. Preston and Javier were actually moved, wondering if they had misjudged the girl. They even started to envy Frank, feeling like this was true love, like something out of TV show. Their comments made Cole roll his eyes. At 9:30 p.m., after agonizing over it for hours, Frank left the dorm. He came back the next morning with a blissful look on his face. Cole sighed. Good thing he'd kept his opinion to himself. Otherwise, he'd definitely be blamed for trying to ruin their reunion. The moment he walked into the Headline Today office, a junior programmer named Zung raised his hand. Cole, Will contacted me last night. I turned him down, told him off, and then blocked him. Me too, Cole. He contacted me too. Finally, Wyatt smiled and said, he messaged me as well. I chewed him out and blocked him. Everyone on the engineering team, except for the new hire, Jiang, had been contacted. Even Fiona and the other department heads had been approached. Seeing everyone's loyalty, Cole was genuinely moved. He waved a hand grandly. Team dinner tonight at 6. Everyone's invited. Cheers erupted in the office. A chance to fleece the boss? They were going to eat until they burst. Outside, the sky was a hazy gray. The entire city was shrouded in a thick smog, the air cold and clammy. In downtown Rockford, on a street in the city center, inside an office building. Room 8808, Zenith Capital LLC. None of them agreed? Did you tell them about the offer I made? Ron Carter sat behind his desk, took a drag from his cigarette, and narrowed his eyes. At 43, he was of medium height with a buzz cut. His face, fleshy with experience and cunning, was beginning to show its age. I told them, Mr. Carter, but they haven't realized what they're missing out on yet. Will, the former Headline Today employee, stood before the desk, hands clasped over his stomach, his expression a mix of unease and sycophancy. He looked like a criminal awaiting interrogation. Ron Carter fell silent, taking one drag after another, his face emotionless, giving no hint of his mood. An invisible pressure enveloped Will, making his heart squeeze tight. Only when he had finished the cigarette, stubbing it out in the ashtray, did Carter speak, his voice flat. I'll give you the people and the money. How long will it take you to build a copy of the site? Well, in the middle of winter, beads of sweat formed on Will's forehead. He hadn't been involved in building the core algorithm and architecture. He didn't know much about it, only a general idea of how it worked. He was a computer science major, after all, but to build it himself? That was a tall order. You can't do it. Carter's expression remained blank, but his presence felt as heavy as a mountain. No, of course I can. I'm just estimating the time, Will said, not daring to say no. After a long moment, under the weight of Carter's steely gaze, Will finally mustered the courage to speak. Probably 3 months. I'll give you 2. You hire your own people. Write up a proposal with how much money you'll need. Carter's brow relaxed slightly. Oh, okay, Mr. Carter. Will agreed, his voice strained, then remembered something else. What? Carter glanced up. The 15,000 you promised me. Will's voice trembled. Don't worry. The moment the site is finished, you'll get it, Carter said, a corner of his mouth twitching into a smile. Keep it up. I have high hopes for you. It's not impossible that you'll get some company shares in the future. Thank you, Mr. Carter. I'll get going now. We'll put on an expression of overwhelming gratitude. The moment he walked out the door, a flicker of regret crossed his face. Sensing he was being watched, he quickly schooled his features back into a look of cautious deference. A man in his 30s wearing glasses walked into Ron Carter's office. Did you find anything? Carter asked in a low voice. From his university enrollment records, he seems like a completely ordinary freshman. No background to speak of, the man in glasses replied. First, schedule a meeting with him. If we can buy it for under 50 grand, let's just do it. No need to wait for that waste of space to fumble around. He can't even poach anyone, and he still wants my 15,000. Huh. Ron Carter leaned back in his executive chair and let out a cold, dismissive sneer. A small website like that probably cost less than 30,000 to build. Even if there was someone backing him, it couldn't be anyone significant. If it weren't for the fact that the university district was a good market for small consumer goods, he wouldn't even bother with such a small-time operation. Zenith owned a trading company, and with this website, they could act as the perfect middleman, easily pushing their products onto campus. The man in glasses nodded and left. Downstairs outside the office building, Will stopped short, his pupils contracting. His girlfriend's hand was resting in the hand of a young man wearing a flashy designer jacket. Roxy, is this your friend? Will forced a smile and called out. The girl, Roxy, awkwardly pulled her hand back and gave the man in the jacket a look. Then she turned to Will. You're done with work? This is a friend from school. We just ran into each other. Seeing the look on Will's face, she quickly smiled and looped her arm through his, purring. You must be so tired, honey. The man in the jacket didn't even glance at Will. He made a call-me gesture to Roxy, then tucked a black portfolio under his arm and walked into the office building. Roxy, your friend seems a little rude, Will said, casting a cold, arrogant look at the man's retreating back before turning to his girlfriend. His eyes were filled with an uncontainable mix of jealousy and suspicion. Roxy was fashionably dressed, with a slender figure and a pretty face. She was considered one of the most attractive girls in her class at Eastwood Tech, which always made Will feel insecure. "Don't mind him, he's just like that. Let's go get something to eat." "I'm craving steak," Roxy said with a dazzling smile. Her sweet, cooing voice was enough to disarm Will. He let her lead him by the hand to the mall next door. The one thing still bothering him, however, was that the $15,000 Carter had promised him was now delayed. And after his last paycheck, he didn't have much left. Dining out at fancy restaurants and hot pot places every day was taking its toll. Back at the Headline Today office, the next few days were a blur of activity for Cole. The promotions department, led by Yvonne, was making excellent progress, successfully signing up numerous small business owners. They were all selling products that college students used: arcades, karaoke bars, hot pot restaurants, even soap. Headline Today was planning to host a promotional conference in the large meeting room. All these business owners would be attending. Cole had submitted an application to the Venture Labs Management Committee and received approval. The promotions team then went door to door, delivering official invitations to ensure the business owners' cars wouldn't be stuck at the campus gate. 2 days later, more than a dozen business owners, big and small, arrived at the Venture Lab. Cole had 2 of the upperclassmen act as greeters, leading the owners to the large conference room on the 15th floor. The room was equipped with a projector and was normally used by the other companies for their main meetings. You had to book it in advance to avoid scheduling conflicts. The business owners sat around, drinking tea and exchanging business cards. Yvonne and her team walked in and connected a laptop to the projector. "Ms. Wong, isn't your boss here yet?" asked Mr. Shaw from the arcade. Yvonne was the one they were most familiar with, a sharp, capable young woman who was not only beautiful but also decisive and alert. "Mr. Shaw, our CEO will be here any moment," Yvonne replied apologetically. Just as she finished speaking, Cole strode into the room. He walked to the front by the projector screen and scanned the crowd with a smile. "Welcome, everyone, to Headline Today. My name is Cole, and I'm the person in charge here." Looks of astonishment spread across the faces of the business owners. They had imagined the head of Headline Today in all sorts of ways, but never as a kid who was barely out of his teens. Their contact, Ms. Wong, had never mentioned how young her boss was. The room fell silent. There was no applause, no chatter, but there was no disdain either. The success of Headline Today in the university district was undeniable, and Eastwood University wouldn't let someone just play around in its venture lab. The silence was purely a result of the ingrained prejudice that you can't trust someone who hasn't even grown a beard. "I know you're all seasoned veterans of the business world, and you're probably worried if a young guy like me can get the job done," Cole said, addressing their unspoken doubts. "But that's not what's important. What's important is what Headline Today can do for all of you." He paused, a slight smile playing on his lips. "And if you really feel I'm too young and lack gravitas, you can just pretend I have a beard." The last line got a few chuckles from the middle-aged owners. Beard or not, the kid had humility. Calling himself a young guy like me was a comfortable and respectful way to address these old-school businessmen. "Mr. Cole, let's get straight to the point. We're all busy people," said Mr. Summers of Summers Hot Pot, rubbing his chin. "Mr. Summers' words are music to my ears. Let's begin," Cole said with a nod. Yvonne had already turned on the projector, displaying the Headline Today interface on the screen. "I'll only take 10 minutes of your time, and I'll cover 3 points." Once he was in his element, Cole's eyes gleamed with confidence. He pointed to the numbers on the back-end dashboard. "First, this is Headline Today's total user count, 893,354. We've already spread to 30 universities in the Rockford area, and we're continuing to expand. Our daily active user count is 432,036. That's how many college students are browsing Headline Street every single day." The owners were visibly impressed. This was why they were here. This massive student population represented enormous spending power. Yvonne, on cue, pulled up the click-through data for the Orchid Lounge, the Caspian Grill and Buffet, and Viridian Fields. Second, a case study. I'm sure you've all heard of the Caspian Grill. We precisely targeted every single university student with their ads. The moment they opened Headline Today, they saw it. And with the excellent copy from our advertising department, we created a cultural narrative around the product, attracting a wide range of consumers. I'm sure you've all researched the success of Viridian Fields. Their CEO made the decisive choice to partner with us, and within days, a previously ordinary brand was embraced by the student population, and it's still spreading. The sales at Viridian Fields stores have increased more than tenfold. The owners remained silent. No one voiced any skepticism. They'd all done their research. The key was that the ad's headline today created were brilliant. The skincare that every college student is using. It was a line that immediately created brand recognition and psychological buy-in from consumers. Third, we have the strongest advertising team in the business. These 3 success stories are definitive proof. Cole didn't drag it on. Yvonne had surely covered these points before. The owners were here for other reasons, and it was his job to address them. Sure enough, Mr. Summers from the Hot Pot restaurant spoke up. Mr. Cole, how can you guarantee that we'll achieve the same results as the Caspian and Viridian fields? An excellent question, Mr. Summers. Cole had been waiting for this. He answered without a hint of haste. Headline today, can't guarantee your revenue. We can only guarantee that we will promote your hot pot restaurant. Whether the hot pot is delicious or not, well, that's still up to the chef who makes the soup base. The room filled with laughter, and Mr. Summers chuckled along. It was true. Gentlemen, ladies, Cole continued. Headline today is responsible for taking your products, just like we did with the Caspian and Viridian fields, and giving them a soul. He leaned forward. We give your product a unique personality. We give it defining attributes, and we precisely position it in the market. I call it empowerment. Personality? Attributes? Positioning? Empowerment. The owners all looked at each other, stunned. These were new terms. It was interesting. All they knew was how to open a store and do business. Faced with this high-level business philosophy, the owners instantly shed any lingering arrogance they had about his age. Mr. Cole, could you use one of our businesses as an example? You know, empower it. It was Mr. Summers again. He was in his 40s, a thin but energetic man. Ms. Potter, who also ran a hot pot restaurant, was much quieter by comparison. Of course, let's use your restaurant, Mr. Summers. Cole was prepared. He'd spent the last few days doing his homework, studying how to empower these different products. In his past life, the word empowerment was on every executive's lips. First, it was about empowering companies, then products. After being processed by a few corporate trainers, it became about empowering employees. Small business owners would use it to motivate their staff, holding meetings just to empower everyone, as if it was the only way to sound high-end. The owners in the room all perked up, listening intently to this young Mr. Cole's lecture on empowerment. Mr. Summers runs a Memphis-style hot pot restaurant, which is already famous in its own right. Cole began, his hands resting on the conference table, his gaze sharp. But there are Memphis-style hot pot places all over the city. The soup bases are similar. The ingredients are all fresh. Why should they choose one over the other? The owners nodded in agreement. This was the problem they all faced. Hey, Mr. Summers, Ms. Potter, what I'm about to say involves intellectual property, Cole said with a smile. It was better to get the disclaimers out of the way now than to regret it later if someone stole his ideas. Don't worry, Mr. Cole. I get it, Mr. Summers laughed. The other hot pot owner, Ms. Potter, also nodded. Have any of you seen the promotional copy in the tea alchemist shops? Cole asked. I have. It's very compelling, said Ms. Potter, speaking up for the first time. A cultured kind of sourness. The arcade owner, Mr. Shaw, chimed in. Haha. The other owners laughed along. That is the soul of the tea alchemist. And you all already know the soul of Viridian Fields, Cole said, pacing in front of the screen like a professor. Now, I'm going to give Mr. Summers' Memphis hot pot a soul in just a few lines. He paused. Memphis girls? Yeah, they taste like this too. A few of the male owners smirked, their minds clearly drifting to things unrelated to hot pot. It was clear the line didn't resonate much with the group. It was just a normal sentence, maybe a little provocative. What good was it? Cole smiled slightly and continued. That spicy kick you just can't stop. The food's in the pot, but you're in my heart. He stopped talking and observed the owner's expressions. They were mostly blank, completely unmoved. Cole was satisfied with this. If these business owners were too forward-thinking, they'd be harder to manage. Do you all think these 3 lines are pretty ordinary? Worse than ordinary, Mr. Shaw said, shaking his head in disappointment. But what if you put these 3 sentences together? Cole's eyes twinkled. And what if you find a girl from Memphis to be the face of the campaign? And what if you pair it all with a spicy but beautiful love story? He watched their reactions. Some were confused, while others looked thoughtful. Ladies and gentlemen, don't forget who our customers are. They're college students. Telling them how delicious the hot pot is useless. There are plenty of students from the South here. Don't you think they know what good hot pot tastes like? But if you talk to them about love, you can talk for 3 days and 3 nights. My empowerment strategy from Mr. Summers' hot pot can be summarized as the taste of love. The taste of love. The owners fell into contemplation, occasionally whispering among themselves. A few of them began to grasp the meaning behind it, a spark lighting up in their eyes. Others were still completely lost. After all, some business owners succeeded purely by chance. Mr. Cole, how do you make these 3 sentences achieve the same effect as Viridian Fields or The Tea Alchemist? Mr. Summers asked. The 3 lines together did have a certain charm, but just slapping them on a poster probably wouldn't do much. That depends on the skill of our advertising and planning department. These 3 lines are just one piece of the puzzle, Cole said with a smile, holding up a single finger. If 3 sentences were all it took, what was the point of headline today? He continued, we need the right copy and an effective promotional strategy to tie it all together, to give the Memphis hot pot a perfect soul, to turn it into a hot pot restaurant with a story, to make it a place that bears witness to love. And also, Cole thought slyly, a holy sight for breakups. Mr. Cole, Ms. Potter, the other hot pot owner, held up her phone. I want that empowerment concept. The 3 lines. The other owners were shocked. She was making a decision that quickly. Ms. Potter, I'm the one who asked about it. If anyone's going to take it, it should be me, right? Mr. Summers said, clearly unhappy. Until a contract is signed, anyone can have it, right? Ms. Potter didn't back down. She gave Cole a faint smile. Mr. Cole, I'm a friend of Vanessa Fan's. She has nothing but praise for you. Is that so? Well, please thank Ms. Fan for her kind words, Cole replied with a smile, then looked at Mr. Summers. Mr. Summers, what are your thoughts now? At the crucial moment, Mr. Summers hesitated again. People were often like that, and Cole understood. How about this? You can see how it works out for a first. If you think it's effective, I can design a new campaign for you. All right, then, I'll let Ms. Potter have it. Mr. Summers finally decided to wait and see. Cole sighed internally. Mr. Summers seemed energetic, but he lacked decisiveness. The love theme was perfect for college students. Ms. Potter, if you'll please follow me to the small conference room, we can sign a contract, Cole said, striking while the iron was hot. He wanted to finalize the deal and create a positive atmosphere for signing more contracts. Let's go. Ms. Potter didn't waste any time, getting up and following Yvonne to the small conference room. Mr. Summers watched them go, his expression a mixture of regret and indecision. Ladies and gentlemen, you've seen the case studies, you've seen the creative process. Please believe in Headline today's advertising and promotional capabilities. The sooner you commit, the sooner you'll benefit, Cole said, clapping his hands together. His voice was loud and clear, his eyes full of confidence. He wasn't going to show them any more. It was unnecessary. If he could sign 4 or 5 clients from this meeting, it would be a success. Any more than that would be a bonus. Signing everyone was impossible. Some owners were probably just here to watch the show, unwilling to invest. Some of the owners were still pondering, while others had already stood up. Mr. Cole, one said with a smile, sign me up. You'd better design a great campaign for me. Mr. Huang, rest assured, I already have a preliminary plan for your Korean barbecue place, Cole said, his smile widening. Other owners scratched their heads, saying they needed to think about it. Some got up to leave. Cole didn't neglect them, saying a few pleasantries as he walked them to the elevator. The editorial department got busy preparing contracts. In the end, they signed 8 deals of varying sizes. The largest was from Ms. Potter, who deposited $15,000 right away, undoubtedly influenced by Vanessa Fan's prior success. Cole wasn't surprised. Business was all about connections. He made a mental note to thank Alex again. If it weren't for her, he would never have met Jordan Liu, and by extension, Vanessa Fan. These advertising fees weren't one-time payments. They would need to be topped up periodically. If a client didn't renew, another competitor would take their spot. Once a new wave of advertising hit, consumers would likely shift their attention immediately. Cole hadn't even unsheathed his fangs yet. When the 2 hot pot restaurants started competing, whoever bid higher would get top priority for keywords like hot pot and Memphis. And for all these businesses around the universities, Cole had even bigger plans. It would all require taking things one step at a time, slowly developing. No, conquering the market. The promotional conference was a resounding success. Over $50,000 in advertising fees flowed into the company's account, making Headline today's winter feel as warm as spring. All the employees were ecstatic. The more stable Headline today's foundation became, the brighter their own futures would be. As founding employees, they were sure to enjoy the greatest rewards down the line. And the more confident these upperclassmen felt, the more stable Headline today became. It was a virtuous cycle. The weather grew colder. Just answering a phone call was enough to make your hands go numb. At the law school, during a break between classes, Serena was on the phone with her mother. Serena, you really should actively participate in student organizations. It's incredibly important for your future studies and your resume, and it's a great way to develop your management skills, Helen said, her tone a mix of advice and instruction. The Law Society at Eastwood is an excellent organization. If you can be recognized as an outstanding member, or even better, a key officer, it will be a huge help for your future. Professor Chun told me you weren't very interested in joining any clubs. I know you're grown up now and have your own ideas, and I understand that. But when it comes to managing your life, your mother still has a say. A person can only realize and discover their own greater value by integrating into a group, into a circle of excellent people. You have a long road ahead of you, and the view from the top is much more beautiful. Don't let momentary laziness cloud your vision. Serena remained silent, listening quietly, her gaze vacant as she stared ahead. Serena, are you listening? I'm listening, Mom, Serena replied automatically, her eyes refocusing. I'm not trying to force you. You've always been a smart and diligent child, a very good girl. I just want you to take fewer detours. When you eventually take on a higher-level job, interpersonal skills and management abilities are extremely important. Student organizations are the best training ground. I've already spoken with Professor Chun. You'll join the Law Society as a member for now, and then next year, during the elections, you can run for director of the Activities or Projects Department, which will naturally lead to a position on the Executive Council. Mom, Serena started to speak, but Helen cut her off. You need a complete resume, and joining a student society is essential for that. Participate in more study groups, pro bono legal aid, build a solid foundation for your future. The color began to drain from Serena's face, and her gaze started to wander. Helen was still talking. Even with your uncles and grandfathers to help, you still need to be strong on your own. A solid theoretical foundation, combined with rich practical experience, is what will allow you to reach a higher position and contribute to society. Serena couldn't remember how the call ended. She only remembered saying, "Okay, Mom, I know." Her face was completely pale, her eyes lifeless as she stared into the distance. Her heart felt like it was being squeezed tight. She felt a tightness in her chest, a fluttering in her heart, a wave of dizziness. "Cole," she murmured. She had just started to dial his number when the bell rang for class. She had to drag her heavy feet back to the classroom. 2 days later, the news that the belle of the law school had joined the Law Society spread like wildfire throughout the entire department. The Secretary General of the Executive Council led Serena into a classroom. "Serena, we happen to have an informal debate and exchange event coming up. You can just shadow Director Price and learn the ropes." "Okay," Serena replied. "Secretary, don't worry. I'll make sure Serena gets familiar with our daily operations as quickly as possible," said Jason Price, the Director of Activities, his face a mask of solemnity. A flash of heat in his eyes was quickly concealed. This was the belle of the school, and she was in his department. She had been personally escorted by the Secretary General and was rumored to have been recommended by the Associate Dean, Professor Chun. For a girl who was both beautiful and well-connected, he had to show his best side. He flashed a bright smile, hiding the eagerness in his heart. "Serena, wait here for a moment. I'll gather the members so you can all get to know each other. We'll all work hard and make progress together. What's your Facebook? I'll add you to the group chat so it's easier for everyone to communicate." After a brief hesitation, Serena gave him her name. It was a reasonable request. Under the circumstances, refusing to join the group chat would be inappropriate. But gathering all the members seemed unnecessary and theatrical. "That's too much trouble. We could get to know each other over time," Serena said coolly, her tone flat. "All right then. Come on, I'll show you the exhibition of the events we've hosted this year." Jason made a welcoming gesture with 80% enthusiasm. "I'm sure you're very busy, Director Price. You can just have an upperclassman show me around," Serena said politely. "That, okay." Jason assumed she was just shy and not used to walking with an unfamiliar guy. What a high-quality girl, he thought. He ended up finding a sophomore girl to accompany Serena. Under the pretext of explaining the Law Society's mission and spirit, Jason tagged along anyway. The sophomore girl wore glasses and was on the smaller, thinner side. She was able to chat and laugh with Serena easily. Jason, who was trailing beside them, tried to interject several times, but received no enthusiastic response. Not wanting to lose his composure, he adopted a mature demeanor, occasionally chiming in with a comment to make his presence known. The exhibition was in a small conference room in one of the law school's multipurpose buildings. 2 walls were covered with introductions, photos, and moving stories from their activities. Here, Jason found his stage. He began to lecture about the founding of the Law Society, its guiding principles, and how crucial the work of the activities department was. The sophomore girl beside them was speechless. He asked me to come, but he won't give me a chance to speak. It's as obvious as a louse on a bald man's head what you're trying to do. But she couldn't say anything without risking offending him. Everyone who joined the Law Society was basically aiming for the same goal. It wasn't like joining the Legal Aid Society. Maintaining good relationships was paramount. Getting a reputation for being on bad terms with the leadership was a death sentence. Listening to Jason's dramatic monologue, Serena's brow furrowed slightly. She tried to remain calm and endure the process. When it was finally over, she politely expressed her thanks. But then Jason said, "Serena, let's go visit the editorial committee next. They're in charge of editing our academic journal, the Eastwood Law Review, and provide strong academic support for all our activities." "Okay, if you're busy, Director Price, you can go ahead. The senior can take me," Serena said, still maintaining her polite distance. "It's no problem. I was just heading to the editorial committee to discuss something anyway. They're on the 4th floor of the Venture Lab building, a bit of a walk from here." Jason waved his hand like a leader, a friendly expression on his face. "On the way, I can tell you more about the upcoming informal debate." Hearing that it was in the Venture Lab, Serena's brow relaxed, and her eyes instantly lit up. "Cole, your baby is coming to see you. Distance is no problem. The editorial committee is the solid backbone of the Law Society. I should definitely go visit and learn from them," Serena said, her tone suddenly much more enthusiastic than before. This surprised Jason, but it was a pleasant surprise. A change in attitude was a good thing. It meant she was proactive and eager to get involved with the society. An easy person to communicate with was an easy person to get close to. The three of them set off for the Venture Lab. Along the way, Jason started chattering again, talking about all the successful events he had organized since becoming director, the shortcomings he had recognized in himself, and the lessons he had learned. The sophomore girl's eyes glazed over, but she had to maintain a listening posture, which was exhausting. Serena, however, was only using 10% of her brain to deal with him, offering occasional huhs and indeeds. The other 90% of her mind had already flown elsewhere. Jason didn't notice a thing. He was completely absorbed in his own list of accomplishments. The envious glances from passers-by made his head spin. This was the belle of the law school, walking with him and chatting so happily. Those other guys must be dying of jealousy. He started to scheme, trying to figure out an opportunity to probe into Serena's background. Maybe he had a chance to marry up. It had happened 3 or 4 times at Eastwood. Those guys had used their wives' family connections to skyrocket to success. If others could do it, so could Jason Price. They arrived at the Venture Lab. The building was shaped like a large L, with the taller section housing the startup companies and the shorter one containing general offices. Jason introduced it with brimming confidence, as if he owned the place. 2 vans were parked downstairs, with people carrying computer cases and other equipment into the building. Listening to their conversation, Serena realized it was new equipment for Headline Today. Seeing that Serena had stopped walking, Jason glanced at the vans, then back at her. He smiled. "The very popular Headline Today is in this building. Have you used it, Serena?" "I have," Serena said with a slight nod. Not only had she used it, she had also helped boost its comments and likes. But there was no need to tell that to an irrelevant person. "I can tell you're not a big fan of it," Jason said, with an I-get-it expression. Before Serena could say anything, he continued, "Students like us from the law school, especially the motivated ones, don't really like that website." "Why? Do you feel that way too, Director Price?" Serena glanced at Jason, then looked up at the building. Jason was thrilled, congratulating himself on his correct guess. As expected, Serena wasn't interested in that kind of thing either. They were so in sync. Their values were perfectly aligned. He put on a profound expression. "I think Headline Today is a platform that prioritizes entertainment above all else. It doesn't align with mainstream values and can easily make people lose their ambition." The sophomore girl next to him turned her head and rolled her eyes. She was one of its most dedicated ambitionless users. "It seems you have a deep-seated hatred for Headline Today," Serena said, her gaze hardening slightly. "What I hate is how it prevents students from focusing on their studies, wasting their time on meaningless pleasure. Alas, I can't do anything to help them. After all, the owner has connections and a background." "Connections? A background?" A series of question marks popped up over Serena's head. "Cole has connections? Since when?" "That's right. Every student knows it. How else could he have gotten an office here?" Jason frowned, his expression grave, as if he were deeply dissatisfied with this kind of nepotism, but felt powerless to change it. He looked like a righteous hero. "Is that so?" "He has connections." Serena's brow furrowed. spreading rumors without any factual basis, making conclusions based on personal preference. This was not the proper way for a law student to think. Jason saw the dissatisfaction on Serena's face and was secretly pleased. She really does share my values. It looks like my path to success is at least halfway complete. This Headline Today website was great. It had finally served a real purpose. Jason looked at the two vans and the two Headline Today guys carrying equipment, and they suddenly seemed a little more pleasant to him. Just as he was thinking about how to show off his abilities next, a sharp pain shot through his stomach. Ouch! Must have been something I ate for lunch. With a pretty underclassman present, he couldn't very well clutch his stomach. He forced a faint smile. Serena, I need to use the restroom. You go ahead to the editorial committee with her. I'll be right there. Okay, you go ahead, Serena said, her eyes fixed on the entrance to the venture lab, her expression cool and distant, not even turning her head. After Jason trotted off, Serena smiled at the sophomore. Senior, I need to go upstairs for a minute. Why don't you head back first? You're not going to the editorial committee? The girl asked, surprised. I'll go later. I have something important to take care of upstairs first. Well, I can wait here for you. When Director Price gets back, I'll let him know. Okay, thank you for your trouble. No trouble at all. Serena had never been to the Headline Today office, but she knew the room number. When she arrived at the door of 1520, she saw several upperclassmen busy inside. But she didn't see Cole. Her appearance immediately caught the attention of everyone at Headline Today. Whoa, she's gorgeous. On par with the Director of Operations and the CFO. Whitney Yuan turned her head and asked politely, Hi, can I help you? Oh, I'm looking for. Serena was about to say his name when she heard another female voice from the side. Hey, that one. Are you here to see the CEO? Yvonne had just walked out of the small conference room and saw her. Her brain short-circuited, and she had no idea how to address her. Which one is the main one? I can't get this wrong. If I do, I'll be in for a world of hurt later. Seeing it was Yvonne, Serena smiled. Yes, I'm here to see him. He's in a meeting right now. Come on in and have a seat. Yvonne smiled warmly and took the hand of the girl whose rank she didn't know, leading her into room 1520. Everyone, let me introduce you. This is the Chief Legal Officer for both Headline Today and the Tea Alchemist, Serena Shun. Even though she hadn't officially started, Yvonne knew this position was hers. She was very clear on that. Everyone stared, stunned, before breaking into a wave of bewildered but enthusiastic applause, as if they had just woken up from a dream. They were all in shock. Holy cow, the CEO is something else. He's basically collected the top campus beauties from both Eastwood and Eastwood Tech, hasn't he? Hello everyone, my name is Serena Shun. I'm a freshman in the law school. I'm not a chief legal officer or anything, just planning to help the company with legal consulting in the future. Serena wore a pleasant smile as she scanned the room, nodding at all her new colleagues and introducing herself very humbly. Everything about Cole felt familiar and dear to her. Hello, Chief Shun. I'm Wyatt from the engineering department. Wyatt, as the very first employee, immediately stood up to introduce himself. Hello, Chief Shun. One by one, they followed suit. They were all sharp enough to understand. A freshman, already slated to be the head of legal? The reason behind it was obvious. The CEO's intentions were so clear, they were practically bouncing off their faces. After a bit of small talk, Yvonne led Serena next door to 1521. Aside from the promotions team members who were out on business, she met almost everyone. A short while later, they saw Cole walking past the door with a business owner, likely escorting him to the elevator. Serena's heart filled with joy. He'll be back soon, just a little longer. He's definitely going to want to kiss me. Then she frowned. But there are so many people here. In the hallway, after seeing Mr. Summers off, Cole started walking back to the office. He had seen Serena arrive. He just couldn't greet her with a client present, lest the client feel disrespected. As he approached room 1521, he deliberately walked past it, then sneaked back to the side of the door like a thief. Inside the office, Serena, who was sitting in a chair, puffed up her cheeks, instantly transforming into a pufferfish. I'm not happy. He didn't even see his baby. And if I chase after him, I'll lose so much face. Just as she was thinking this, a familiar head popped into view by the glass door, winking and making faces at her. Serena's mood instantly blossomed. She giggled and ran out. You're such a jerk. The content moderators and customer service staff inside the office felt their scalps tingle. Whoa, this legal officer is a little unpredictable. A moment ago, she was an elegant princess, and now she's a cute, bubbly girl. And more importantly, is there any legal officer who calls their boss a jerk? Did we just learn a top secret? Should we be signing a new non-disclosure agreement, Mr. CEO? Only Yvonne's expression remained normal. Seeing the promotions director's calm demeanor, the others instantly understood. Ah, Director Wong already knew. Outside the door, Cole didn't mind being called that in front of his employees. In fact, he opened his arms with a wicked grin. Come on, give the jerk a hug. After spending so much time with her, he understood Serena's true nature perfectly. He wouldn't try to suppress it. If it was accidentally revealed in front of others, so be it. If it caused any trouble, he would handle it. MMPH. No. Serena put her hands behind her back, tilting her head up with a proud, pouting expression. Cole got the hint immediately. He grinned. Baby, come give the jerk a hug. Serena's face lit up, and with a single bound, she leaped forward. Your baby is here. She landed squarely in Cole's arms. Cole scooped her up, his hands supporting her pert bottom, and carried her toward the fire escape door at the end of the hall. Why there? It was safe and quiet behind the fire door. Serena swung her legs happily, rubbing her cheek against the jerk's neck, humming and cooing in contentment. The pressure she'd felt for the past 2 days evaporated in an instant. Serena didn't lower her voice at all. Not only did room 1521 hear her, but 1520 did as well. Everyone's expression was strange. Baby. Whoa, they're really playing around. But it's so sweet. Wyatt put a finger to his lips and let out a long show. Everyone understood immediately. If you want good bonuses and benefits, you have to be considerate of the boss. Is it strange for the head of legal to be cooing at the CEO? Not all. Okay, we didn't see anything. Didn't hear anything. Nothing happened. The 2 new employees also caught on quickly, instantly transforming into considerate old-timers. Yvonne's eyes were filled with a hint of despair. She felt like trying to win over Cole was going to be a hellishly difficult task. She tried to simulate it in her mind. Jerk, your baby is here. Ugh, she couldn't do it. No, it wasn't that she couldn't do it. She just couldn't replicate that flavor. She pouted and mumbled under her breath. Baby. In the stairwell behind the fire door, it was indeed very quiet. Aside from the cleaning staff, no one ever came here. Serena's legs were wrapped around Cole's waist in a very comfortable position, and she refused to come down. Cole supported her, letting her rest. How are you feeling about the Law Society? Serena had told him about joining via Facebook message earlier. Cole thought it was fine. Student clubs were a part of the university experience. Joining or not joining was up to her. Since starting her freshman year, Serena hadn't shown any interest in clubs, focusing solely on her studies so she could become his legal counsel faster. This made Cole feel both happy and a little guilty. Not so good, Serena murmured, shaking her head with a pained look. She buried her nose in his neck and took a deep sniff, letting out a contented sound. It's okay. If you really don't like it, we'll just quit, Cole said, kissing the top of her head. There was no greasy smell, just a sweet fragrance. I'm just doing it to appease my mom and Professor Chun, so they don't lose face, Serena said, her voice laced with resignation. No matter how much she disliked it, she had to put on a show. It was to protect the person holding her. If she refused too decisively, her mother's sharp mind would immediately figure out the reason. It was better to avoid unnecessary trouble, to trade a little bit of annoyance for future happiness. My poor baby, you're working so hard, Cole said, kissing her forehead with a pang of sympathy. It's no trouble at all. Ah, you big jerk, your hand. Serena had just replied happily when she let out a cry of protest, a blush rapidly spreading across her face. What's wrong? Cole asked innocently. You, who am I? I'm not saying. I want to hear my baby say it. MMPH. Say my name. After a few seconds of silence, Serena's lips were pressed against Cole's ear again, whispering something in a tiny voice. After she finished, she buried her face in his neck, embarrassed, and kicked her legs. MMPH, you're so bad. You always make me call you that. A fire ignited inside Cole. He lowered his head and captured her soft, fragrant lips. The small hands around his neck tightened. The kiss lasted for an eternity. The most agonizing part of all this was the wait for Jason Price and the bored sophomore girl downstairs. Where is she? Did Serena say which company she was going upstairs? Jason asked. She didn't. I thought she was just going to the restroom up there, the sophomore said, shrugging with a look of innocence. She turned her head and raised an eyebrow. It's normal for a girl to take a long time in the restroom. Sigh. Serena's sense of time is a bit lacking. She needs to work on that. Jason sighed, wondering how to bring it up with her. He suddenly remembered he had added her on Facebook and took out his phone to send a message. Serena, are you done upstairs? He waited a while longer, but there was still no reply. What's she doing? He wanted to go look for her, but the upstairs area was huge. There was no way to find her. Sigh, this Serena. I'll have to have a serious talk with her. Jason was getting incredibly frustrated when his eyes suddenly lit up. A tall, stunningly beautiful, and coolly aloof woman was walking past in the distance, heading toward the Venture Lab building. Wow, which department at Eastwood has a girl that beautiful? She's on the same level as Serena, but a completely different style. Jason's eyes nearly popped out of his head. The sophomore girl watched his lecherous expression and rolled her eyes. When Yvonne saw Jasmine, director of finance, walk in, her eyes froze. Cole is in danger. Jasmine was here to handle the onboarding for 2 new employees, signing their employment contracts. Yvonne knew about it, but she hadn't been given a specific time, and she had to arrive now of all times. The worst part was, at this very moment, a certain shameless CEO was still not finished with his business. What on earth are they doing that's taking so long? Where's Cole? Is he in the conference room? Jasmine asked when she didn't see him. The employees in the office were all buried in their work, heads down, as if they didn't have a second to look up. A life-or-death situation like this was best left to the smart and capable promotions director, Yvonne Wong. Wyatt, the most senior employee, had his face practically glued to his monitor, looking like he was intensely searching for a bug. He looked extremely dedicated. Cole was just talking with Mr. Summers from the Hot Pot restaurant. I'm not sure where they went after that, Yvonne said, reluctantly taking on the heavy burden. Oh, all right. Fiona, can I borrow your desk for a minute? Jasmine said to the head of the editorial department. Of course, Director Young, Fiona said, standing up with a sense of dread and giving Yvonne a meaningful look. Thanks, Fiona. Jasmine sat down and took out the contracts and other documents from her folder. That thanks, Fiona, filled Fiona with a wave of guilt. She wanted nothing more than to immediately report everything to Director Young. Jasmine was usually so kind, never putting on the airs of CEO's confidant. Everyone liked her. But, the legal officer was also very kind. She looked delicate, but she was friendly and respectful to everyone. This was so complicated. Everyone in the office silently cursed. Cole, you're so shameless. This was immediately followed by a sense of deep admiration. Cole wasn't the most handsome guy, nor was he the wealthiest, but somehow he managed to conquer these top-tier campus goddesses. And the key was they were completely willing. It defied all logic. Cole, you're a true legend. The spiritual guide for all men. Director Young, would you like some tea or lemonade? Yvonne needed an excuse to leave. The hot water was next door in 1521. Don't trouble yourself, Yvonne, Jasmine said, not wanting the promotions director to do such a task. It might give the impression that she was bossy. It's no problem. I'm free right now. I'll get you a cup of hot lemonade, Yvonne said, already heading for the door. Seeing this, Jasmine didn't insist. Thank you, Yvonne. Yvonne sighed internally, the weight of her mission heavy on her shoulders. She tiptoed to the door of 1521, then crept toward the fire door. She pushed it open and saw them. Oh my God, what a strange position. They're kissing so passionately. How long have they been at this? This is so bold. It's not like no one ever comes here. Ahem. Cole. Yvonne coughed lightly and called out in a small voice. The two finally broke apart. They hadn't been kissing the entire time, just chatting for a bit before their lips accidentally stuck together again. Serena buried her face, unable to look at anyone, her cheeks burning with embarrassment. This is so awkward. Someone from the company saw us. What do I do? Cole, the thick-skinned, remained unfazed, not even changing his posture of holding Serena. Oh, Yvonne, what's up? Oh, Yvonne, what's up? The elevator on the 15th floor is broken and waiting for repairs. You'll have to take the 14th floor elevator when you go down, Yvonne said, nudging her head toward the stairs and winking, trying to form the words Director Young is here with her mouth. But Cole didn't get it, looking completely bewildered. He knew something was up, though. Seeing how dense her boss was, Yvonne's mind raced. She added in a low voice, the stadium bathroom. Cole's eyes shot open. Jasmine is here. He quickly said, Oh, I know. I'll just take the stairs down from here. Yvonne nodded silently, gently closing the fire door and tiptoeing back to 1521 to make a cup of hot lemonade. In the stairwell. Oh no, I forgot. Someone is waiting for me downstairs. Serena finally remembered that the people from the activities department were probably still waiting. All right, we can't keep them waiting. Let's go. I'll walk you down, Cole said, taking the opportunity to make his escape. He immediately started heading for the 14th floor. Cole, let me down, Serena said, squeezing his waist to put the brakes on. All right. Cole, still rattled, had forgotten she was hanging on him. He set the blushing Serena down on her feet. They made it to the 14th floor elevator without incident and went downstairs. Jason Price, who had been waiting anxiously, saw Serena immediately. He He walked up to her, a hint of resentment in his eyes, but he forced a generous smile. Serena, you're finally down? We've been waiting here for you. Oh, well, I'm sorry, Director Price. I had something important to take care of upstairs, Serena said, looking slightly apologetic. She really had forgotten. It was all that person's fault, kissing her until her head was spinning. I'm heading back up, Cole said. Now that he was downstairs, he felt safe. Even if he was seen now, it wouldn't matter. Okay, Serena said, turning to look at him, her eyes filled with a deep reluctance to part. She wished he could come with her to the editorial committee meeting. Serena, who is this? Jason asked, a sour taste in his mouth. Anyone could see that Serena's attitude toward this guy was anything but ordinary. That look in her eyes, it was practically electric. Could it be? This is my classmate from middle and high school. My good friend, Serena said, not specifying further. A good friend you can kiss, she added silently. As long as she didn't say it out loud. Even if it got back to Professor Chun, there would be no proof. But she was a little worried Cole would be offended and gave him an apologetic look. Cole winked at her. That's right, good friend. And you have to tutor me tonight. Okay, I remember, Serena replied with a straight face, but her cheeks were burning. They had agreed she would tutor him tonight. In the end, the tutoring would probably end up happening under the covers. But she was so looking forward to it. She knew Cole didn't mind, and as she relaxed, her heart started to beat a little faster. She gave him a sweet, syrupy look. Jason, who had been watching closely, saw everything. Even an idiot could understand what was going on. There was definitely something between these two. But why? What right does a not-so-outstanding guy like him have to win Serena's heart? Does he even deserve her? Could it be that Serena is naive and has been deceived by someone? Yes, that must be it. The acidity and resentment in his heart prompted Jason to look at Cole and let out a dry, humorless laugh. Hey, classmate, are you working part-time here? Huh? Are you talking to me? Cole paused, halting his steps. This senior from the Law Society, judging by his eyes, seemed to have a problem with him. Yes, you. Jason's tone hardened, tinged with a strange, unprovoked hostility. The words made Serena's face turn cold. She shot a sideways glance at Director Price. Some people really need to mind their own business and figure out their place. Yes, I'm just working part-time here, Cole said, a faint smile playing on his lips. He was a master at reading people. He knew exactly what was going on. But this senior, or whatever he was, must have a screw loose. At that moment, on the balcony of the 15th floor, a pair of beautiful eyes was quietly watching the scene unfold below. Jasmine had just stepped outside and saw it all. So, he was downstairs meeting his future legal counsel. Jasmine didn't see anything wrong with it. A meeting like this, especially with others present, was perfectly normal. Still, a faint, unsettling premonition pricked at her. She couldn't quite make out their quiet conversation from her office window. Yvonne, who had followed her back to the office, let out a silent sigh of relief. As long as she hadn't caught them in the act, everything was probably fine. Though she'd never witnessed anything physical between Cole and Jasmine, a woman's intuition was a powerful thing. The bond between her boss and Director Yang went far beyond that of a simple boss and his non-related big sister. And then there was the head of finance, too. Sai. Her own plan to be the early bird that gets the worm seemed. Well, it seemed pretty damn difficult. After another moment, Jasmine turned from the window and walked back into her office. She'd just wait for that jerk to come upstairs. Downstairs, Jason Price was practically choking on jealousy. He puffed out his chest, adopting the condescending air of a student government big shot. There are some decent companies in the venture lab, he said, looking down his nose at Cole. Keep working hard, kid, and you might have a future. By the way, which company are you interning for? I might know someone there. I could put in a good word, maybe get you a better opportunity. As he spoke, he flicked his eyes toward Serena, but her expression remained unchanged. She probably doesn't even realize the status that comes with being the head of the Student Activities Board, he thought, a little disappointed. The senior from the Law Society, standing with him, turned her head, feigning a look at the scenery, and sighed without a sound. He's a good-looking guy, so why is he so possessed by his own demons? She thought, exasperated. You're an outsider, jealous of the actual boyfriend? What is wrong with you? She felt helpless. Jason was a model student, the kind professors loved. That was the best you could say about him. Serena's expression was cool, and she was about to fire back a retort when Cole spoke first. His eyes were calm, a slight smile playing on his lips. Sure, that'd be great. I'm with. Before he could finish, a series of bright, cheerful voices cut through the air. Mr. Chun, Mr. Chun, Mr. Chun. Amy and a few other girls were walking toward them, their eyes filled with genuine warmth and gratitude. Amy, a Memphis native, had landed the ad campaign for Ms. Potter's Memphis-style hot pot, and her pay was double what she'd made on her last gig. For just a few shots, it was almost too easy. The other girls had all gotten their own ad deals, too, a few of which were group shoots. It was easy money for little work, a respectable way to showcase their beauty and build their resumes without any of the shady casting couch nonsense. They all knew campus beauties at other schools who ended up relying on guys with fancy cars, only to be tossed aside later. Mr. Chun, we're all wrapped up, Amy said, carefully hiding the spark of admiration in her eyes. Even though he was younger, in her mind, Cole was more mature and worthy of respect than most of the older guys she knew. She no longer needed money from her family. In fact, she could even send some home. Great. Head on up to the conference room and relax for a bit. Whitney will arrange dinner later, and we can all celebrate together, Cole said with a nod. He appreciated these models. They hadn't become jaded yet and were a bargain to work with. He had some ideas for Amy. He was planning to launch a short-form web series project next year and thought she'd be perfect for the lead role. As long as she didn't get a better offer before then, he could probably secure her. After that, who knew? People were always aiming higher. Okay, Mr. Chun, call me for the next one. Amy flashed a sweet smile. She was familiar with the office dynamics, so after a quick, knowing glance at the stunningly beautiful girl beside Cole, she led the other models upstairs. Beside Cole, Serena maintained a serene smile, the picture of a quiet princess. She watched gracefully as the upperclassmen showed such respect for Cole. And her Cole, she noted with satisfaction, kept his gaze steady, not letting it wander. Everything was perfectly under her control. It made her so happy. Jason Price stood frozen, his mind momentarily scrambled by the parade of beauties. While none of them were quite on Serena's level, each had her own unique charm. Once the girls were gone, his attention snapped back to Serena, and the sour taste of jealousy returned with it. But the condescending attitude he'd worn just moments ago was impossible to muster. Mr. Chun? Jason had no idea which company that was, but he was certain of one thing. This guy wasn't just some part-time intern. Still, so what? Compared to his own bright future, this kid was just a firefly. The proper path was to become a respected public servant like he would, and eventually hold a position of real power. He pretended to have forgotten their earlier conversation, putting on a formal air. Serena, it's getting late. We should head over to the Law Review Committee. Huh, call yourself whatever mister you want, he thought, savoring a small, mental victory. Serena still has to listen to me. But Serena just glanced at the 4 o'clock sky and smiled. You're right, it is getting late, Jason. I'll just go by myself tomorrow, or maybe the senior can take me. I have to go see Professor Chun in a bit. She casually dropped the name of the associate dean, Professor Chun. Having been around this world for a while, she knew exactly how to shut people down, especially certain personality types. She was willing to bet this Jason character wasn't going to get very far in life. It won't take long, Serena. The office is right next door. We might as well go now, Jason insisted, his expression tightening. His composure was starting to crack. Cole's face hardened. He stepped forward, his voice rising as he fixed his gaze on the stubborn upperclassman. Is there some law society rule that says she has to go right now? I'd be happy to go ask the society's board if this is some mandatory regulation. Is the Law Society a student club at Eastwood, or is it a damn street gang? He couldn't believe this guy. With a mindset like this, if he ever got into a position of authority, could you really expect him to serve the community? Getting creepy ideas just because he saw a pretty girl. What kind of leader would he be? Well, no, there isn't, Jason stammered, his face turning an ugly shade. He was furious, but a sliver of clarity broke through. He quickly changed his tune. Then let's do it another day. It's no rush. I just figured since we were already here, we could pop over for a quick tour. He forced a couple of awkward laughs. Though he was seething, he didn't dare say another word, suddenly remembering that Serena had been personally recommended by Professor Chun. He mumbled a hasty goodbye and scurried away. The senior woman didn't follow him, apparently planning to wait for Serena. Cole turned to Serena, his voice softening. Go back to your dorm and wait for me. I'll come pick you up in a bit. Okay, Serena replied, her eyes brimming with a smile. She needed to go back and take a shower, get herself smelling wonderful, and change her underwear. After the campus beauty had gone, Cole headed upstairs. As he stepped out of the elevator on the 15th floor, he saw Jasmine standing at the door of the small conference room, her expression perfectly calm. A thief's guilt pricked at him, and a wave of anxiety washed over him. Come here, Jasmine said, a faint smile on her lips. She raised her right hand and beckoned him over before turning toward the fire escape door. Cole's heart skipped a beat. Her timing is too perfect. Does she know? He obediently followed her. In the stairwell, Jasmine stood with her arms crossed, her body ramrod straight. A pair of light blue skinny jeans stretched taut over her long, perfectly rounded legs. Her expression was mild, but it seemed to hide a hint of murderous intent. "Hey sis, why aren't you sitting in the office?" Cole asked, trying to change the subject. His guilty eyes were inexorably drawn to those legs. At such a perilous moment, all he could think about was the black stockings from that one night. "Get over here," Jasmine commanded, gesturing to the spot in front of her. Cole braced himself and walked over, stopping a foot away from her. He had no idea if Serena's scent was still on him. He certainly couldn't smell it himself. The next moment, Jasmine leaned in, her face close to his chest, and started sniffing. She took one deliberate inhale after another. Cole's scalp tingled. "Sister, how are you so damn smart?" He thought desperately. "I hope I don't smell like Serena. Wait, I should be fine. She doesn't wear perfume." Jasmine's expression didn't change as she moved from his chest to his neck, sniffing the left side, then the right. Then she moved toward his mouth. Cole couldn't take it anymore. He leaned in and planted a quick kiss on her fragrant, red lips, tasting a hint of lip gloss. Smack! A light slap landed on his mouth. "Behave. Stand still," Jasmine ordered, glaring at him. "Okay," Cole mumbled, looking aggrieved. His Jasmine wasn't being very nice to him today. After sniffing around his neck and ears, she commanded, "Open your mouth." "Oh," Cole said, obediently opening wide. Sister, this is a seriously intense interrogation." To his astonishment, Jasmine actually leaned in and sniffed at his mouth, and she did it with intense concentration. Seeing that he was about to lean in for another kiss, she shot him a warning glare and pointed an index finger at him. He froze. "Did you drink milk?" "I thought you didn't like milk," she said after a moment, her elegant brows furrowing slightly. "No milk, sis. I was hungry earlier and saw a cream saver on someone's desk, so I ate it," Cole said, his heart pounding, but his face was a mask of innocence. "Really?" Jasmine tilted her head, her expressive eyes filled with suspicion. She sniffed again. Her beautiful lips were inches away, and Cole swallowed hard, a rush of heat flooding his mind. He reached out, cupped the back of her neck, and pulled her in for a real kiss. "MMPH. I still have to say, MMPH. Jasmine struggled slightly, but couldn't break free. "We'll talk later," Cole managed to say before pressing his lips to hers again. "MMPH. We need MMPH. To talk now." Jasmine protested, patting his shoulder. But there was no way Cole was going to let Sherlock Holmes Jasmine continue her investigation. He greedily claimed her fragrant mouth. "Ow!" Cole's eyes went wide. Jasmine was glaring at him. A clear "try that again, and I'll bite you" look on her face. Cole just blinked, his arms holding her tight, refusing to back down. They remained in a standoff. After a moment, seeing his refusal to yield, the anger in Jasmine's eyes melted into a frustrated, helpless softness. She was genuinely angry, but she couldn't bring herself to punish him too harshly. She loved this little brother too much. When Cole was soft, she softened. When Cole was stubborn, she softened too. She quickly melted into the greedy kiss. She felt her body go light as he scooped her up by the back of her knees. Jasmine immediately struggled, her voice turning into an urgent plea. "Cole, this is the office. It's not right." To keep her balance, she had no choice but to wrap her arms around his neck. "I don't care." Cole took a few quick steps and pressed her against the wall, lowering his head to capture the mouth that so intoxicated him. "MMM. Cole. MMM. Someone will see. MMM. It's not right." Jasmine beat at him, then tugged hard on his ear and cheek. But it was no use. She grabbed his hair, but even messing it up into a bird's nest didn't stop him. Finally, her hands seemed to tire, and she simply held his head, her arms limp. The quiet stairwell filled with the sound of rapid, breathless kissing. Cole kissed her with relish, feeling a surge of triumph. Jasmine's indulgence was his greatest weapon. He couldn't let her continue her investigation. She'd even smelled the milky scent. What kind of nose did she have? But even in his triumph, Cole felt a little shameless. He had just feasted on a milk-flavored little mouth, and now he was ravenously feasting on a fresh, fragrant one. It wasn't his fault, though. They were both just too tempting. Once you had a taste, you could never forget it. Especially Jasmine, who was traditional and reserved, yet so unique. In public, she was poised, elegant, even cold and bossy. Only when they were alone did she show him her other side. Like that night in bed, when she would strike a seductive pose, nibbling his ear and asking, "Do you like this?" That completely different charm was what had him so utterly hooked. Just as they were lost in their own world, the fire escape door creaked open. Mister, chewing that thing about. Yvonne's voice trailed off. Oh my God, I'm so sorry, I didn't see anything. The door slammed shut. Their lips finally parted. See what you did? See? Now what? What is everyone in the company going to think? Jasmine, flushed with shame and anger, viciously pinched the flesh at Cole's waist, twisting it in a full circle. Ow, that hurts. Cole yelped, wincing. Now you feel the pain? Where was that 5 minutes ago? You were like a maniac. Put me down. Jasmine snapped, twisting harder, completely ignoring her own passionate response moments earlier. Though he was reluctant, Cole had no choice but to set her down, a flicker of resentment for Yvonne crossing his mind. Did she have to interrupt at such a crucial moment? Did she not want her bonus anymore? Jasmine smoothed out her down jacket and retied her messy bun. Just then, she remembered the scent, but it was too late. The air was now a heady mix of Cole's masculine scent and her own. She was even starting to doubt if she had smelled the milky scent at all. She glared at him, only to find the jerk still staring at her with lust in his eyes. She punched him playfully. What are you looking at? Stop looking. You're so annoying. How am I supposed to walk back into the office now? Even as she said it, a tiny sliver of satisfaction bloomed in her heart. With your eyes, of course, Cole chuckled. His sister Jasmine was just intoxicating, and she made his heart itch. Back in the office, Yvonne let out a long sigh. She really did have business to discuss, but she couldn't deny a part of her wanted to peek behind the curtain. She already knew so many secrets. What was one more little detail? And the result? Well, now she knew. This one had an extraordinary status, too. They even kissed the same way, though the other girl hadn't been pinned against a wall. Sigh. Her plan to be the early bird was probably dead in the water. As Yvonne's mind was racing, she saw her boss and Director Young walk back into the office, looking for all the world like nothing had happened. Jasmine returned to her work, while her boss idled about with nothing to do. As soon as she finished her tasks, Jasmine fled, though she did permit him to walk her out. Otherwise, she was afraid the little devil would try to lure her back into the stairwell. The look in his eyes was like a wolf's, ready to devour her. She resolved not to be so indulgent with him. She had to get back to campus and study for her grad school entrance exams. After dropping Jasmine off at Eastwood Tech, Cole immediately caught a cab to the Golden Bay residences. He grinned to himself. Time to swap the bedding for Serena's version. An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. After all, he even did a thorough check with some clear tape. It seemed his 3 goddesses didn't shed. As evening approached, the temperature dropped sharply, and a light snow began to fall. Just as Cole reached the women's dorm at the law school, he saw Serena standing downstairs, her hands in her pockets, a plastic bag full of books looped over her arm. Her cool expression instantly melted into a brilliant smile, and she trotted happily toward him. Cole touched her hand. It was still warm. She seemed full of energy. He pulled the hood of her down jacket over her head and took the bag from her. They held hands, tucking them into his coat pocket, and walked toward the dining hall, ignoring the gazes of the other girls. It was too cold to trek over to the food truck strip. The snowflakes seemed to be getting bigger, dusting their hair and shoulders. Cole, yeah, we're walking in the first snow together. We are. I guess that means we're destined to grow old together. Cole, yeah. Looking at her sweet, innocent face, Cole, who was never one for sappy romance, decided to play along for once. He'd never been this way, not even when he was a desperate simp in his past life. But for her, he was a willing simp. They sat down in the dining hall and, unsurprisingly, drew a lot of attention. The flower of the law school was well known, but almost no one recognized or remembered the ordinary-looking guy with her. It wasn't strange. In the future, with the internet, it would be different, but back then, if a tech billionaire walked past you, you wouldn't have a clue. Everyone knew of Headline Today, but few knew what its founder looked like. Even though he'd spoken at the dance competition, people forgot his face in a matter of days. If someone brought it up, they couldn't place him, but mention any celebrity, and an image would instantly pop into their heads. Cole took off Serena's hood again, brushing away the fine snowflakes. He got their food, and they sat feeding each other, one bite for you, one bite for me. Across the room, someone watched them, his mood turning foul. Jason Price happened to be eating in the same dining hall. People are strange. Sometimes, a situation that has nothing to do with you can breed jealousy and resentment just because of a faint connection. Jason knew he had no claim here, but the thought of someone else hitting the jackpot that should have been his left a bitter taste in his mouth. He wouldn't dare pull any shady tricks, but in the dark corners of his mind, he hoped they'd break up one day. I'm so much better than him, he thought. With a little effort, maybe I could swoop in. No wonder that guy has an office in the venture lab. Jason sneered internally. He must be riding Serena's coattails. If it were me, I could do so much better. He had been stealing glances at them, but when he saw them sharing a single fork, he lost his appetite. He shoveled down the last of his food and stood up, fuming. As he left, he deliberately walked past the front of their table, imagining how he would display his charming, friendly demeanor if Serena greeted him. But she didn't even look up. An invisible clown mask snapped onto Jason's face. He let go of the suave persona he'd been preparing and hurried out of the dining hall in a state of humiliation. The faster, the better. The farther, the better. The meal left them feeling warm and cozy. Cole took Serena's hand, and they walked through the falling snow toward the Golden Bay residences. It was time for her English tutoring session. Worried she might be cold, Cole even prepared a basin of hot water for her to soak her feet until they were toasty. Only then did they crawl into bed to begin their lesson. After a little while, the textbook was tossed onto the nightstand. Serena knew danger was approaching and burrowed deep under the covers in embarrassment. It was, of course, futile. The prize piglet was surrendered. Cole expanded on the contents of his original love letter, taking their relationship to a new level on this snowy winter night. The room, which should have been quiet, was filled with a sound like soft weeping, which would periodically rise to a passionate crescendo. The next morning, Cole woke up with faint dark circles under his eyes. He glanced at the girl in his arms. Her face was flushed, and her eyelashes fluttered twice. She was pretending to be asleep. Cole grinned and extended his devilish hand. You devil, you're at it again." Serena couldn't pretend any longer, squirming deeper into his embrace. The thief chuckled. They wrestled playfully in bed for a while before settling down. "Cole, yeah, you ate my prize piglet. It was delicious. You're so bad. I want more next time. No way. Yes or no? P.H. Yes, but you have to be gentle. Like this." Cole. Sweet moments always flew by. After breakfast, Cole walked a starry-eyed and reluctant Serena back to her dorm. As for the English lesson, they hadn't gotten through a single word. Cole gave up. If he failed, he failed. It couldn't be helped. He would, however, have to start taking his classes more seriously next semester. Some of the economics and finance concepts were important, and the lectures from Eastwood's professors were top-notch. At 2:30 in the afternoon, Cole the simp went by himself to the gallery. He wandered through the women's clothing stores on the second and third floors, finally selecting 3 cashmere scarves that cost over $250 in total. One was camel-colored, elegant and serene, for his sister Jasmine. One was pink, romantic and sweet, for the campus beauty Serena. And one was pure white, simple and shy, for the little girl Luna. Though the 3 colors couldn't represent the entirety of their personalities, Cole felt they were the most fitting choices. He sent Jasmine a message. "Sis, I need to swing by Eastwood Tech for something. Are you free?" Jasmine replied quickly. "Don't come here. I'm at the old tea alchemist shop, signing contracts with the new hires." Cole suddenly remembered they'd hired 2 new people. "Okay, sis. I'm on my way." He glanced at the time. Luna was probably in class, and Jasmine, in such a public place, wouldn't dare pinch him in front of the employees. As long as he called her sis, the other staff wouldn't think anything of it. He was safe. Cole looked down at the 3 shopping bags in his hand. This was a problem. A plan sparked in his mind. He ran into a men's clothing store, bought himself a set of thermal underwear, and asked for a large paper bag. He took the thermals out and placed them on top of the scarf boxes. Perfect. After leaving the gallery, Cole hailed a cab and headed straight for the tea alchemist. In the car, he took out the camel scarf meant for Jasmine. When he arrived, he got out and eagerly walked toward the shop. The moment he stepped through the door, his eyes fell on the 3 people sitting at the round table in the back. His entire body went rigid. Oh God. Oh, holy hell. At the round table, 3 heads were huddled together, whispering about something. Cole's scalp tingled, a chill ran down his spine, and every muscle in his body froze. The 1 second it took for his eyes to register the 3 graceful figures felt like an eternity. A wave of impending doom washed over him, snapping him out of his shock. Before any of them could look up, Cole spun around and started to walk out. "Mr. Chun, why are you leaving?" When he called out curiously. "Damn it," Cole's steps faltered. He shot Winnie a look that screamed, "Your bonus is gone." Winnie felt a shiver of unease. "What's with him? When did I piss him off? I was just being nice." "Forget him, then." She turned her head, pretending her boss didn't exist. Her shout, however, had alerted the 3 goddesses. They all looked toward the door. Where was he? Outside? Cole took a deep breath. It had come to this. He had to take a gamble. A real man faces his problems head-on. He quickly shoved Jasmine's gift back into the paper bag and plastered a warm, friendly smile on his face. Looking perfectly calm, Though his heart was hammering against his ribs, he walked back into the shop. I just dropped $1. Had to go back and pick it up, he said cheerfully to Wendy, his eyes flashing a clear threat. You idiot. Wendy, shut up. Can't you read the room? I'm going to have you shadow Yvonne from now on and learn a thing or two. Wendy was still annoyed and completely ignored her boss's warning glare. From a back, Jasmine called out, Hurry up and come in. We're just going over the contracts. Coming, sis. I didn't realize you were all here. This is perfect, Cole said, forcing himself to walk over, a look of feigned delight on his face. Luna's eyes were filled with deep affection, and she showed no other unusual reaction. Serena snuck a peek at the greedy Cole before pretending to focus on the contract in front of her, her face turning a bright shade of red. After all, her prize piglet had just been eaten by him last night. She was still in a state of shyness. Jasmine glanced at her little brother, and the memory of being caught by Yvonne in the stairwell brought a faint blush to her own cheeks. She quickly composed herself, adopting a thoroughly professional demeanor. Cole, what's up? She asked. Oh, it's like this. Since it's snowing, I decided to give every employee in the company a scarf as a little perk, Cole explained, his face a perfect mask of a caring boss, his tone full of corporate concern for his employees. And I decided to deliver them personally to the management team. I had no idea you three would be together. This is really great. Their reactions put him somewhat at ease, but his heart was still pounding. It didn't affect his performance, though. This was a life-or-death moment, and his acting skills went into overdrive, performing at 10 times the level he'd ever managed in his past life as a salesman. Scarves. Jasmine looked at the paper bag, but she wasn't suspicious. This was exactly the kind of thing her brother would do. She felt a flicker of curiosity about what kind he would buy for her. Let me see, Serena said, her face alight with anticipation, as was Luna's. They both wanted to see what color Cole had picked for them. Boss, do I get one too? When he called from the work area, her previous annoyance completely gone. Of course. I'll get yours to you later, Cole said with a beaming smile, thinking, I'll get you one made of nails. He took 3 boxes out of the paper bag. He handed the camel-colored box to Jasmine first. Director Young, this is for you. Next was Serena. Director Shun, this is yours. And finally, Luna. Director In, this is for you. Go ahead and open them. If you don't like them, I can go exchange them, Cole said with a small laugh. He had used their official titles, defining this meeting as strictly business. The order was deliberate. It might have looked random, but he had planned it carefully. Whether in a public or a private capacity, Jasmine had to be first. He met Serena second, so she was second. He met Luna last, so she was third. This order was absolutely critical. It was directly related to his grand plan to become the king of greed. He couldn't mess it up because he knew his sister Jasmine too well. The 3 girls didn't notice anything amiss. It was perfectly normal for Cole to use their titles in a formal setting. At most, Serena and Luna were still getting used to being called director. They each eagerly opened their boxes. Wow, it's so soft and warm. Serena exclaimed, delighted. She loved pink. It made her feel relaxed. She wanted to shoot a sweet glance at him, but she restrained herself. Not bad, Cole. How did you know I like this color? Jasmine unfolded the scarf, looking very pleased. She disliked black, white, and red, preferring grays, khakis, and camel tones. Camel was her favorite. It was versatile and elegant. Haha, just a lucky guess. Cole laughed, thinking, I'm a mind reader when it comes to you. I like it too, Luna said, her eyes curving into happy crescents. She rubbed the pure white scarf. It was so soft, and she could tell just by the touch that it must have been expensive. The thought made her feel a little pained. I'm glad you all like them. By the way, how did you 3 end up here together today? Cole asked, feigning casual curiosity. I was getting them familiar with the contracts and some administrative matters. Legal and finance both need to understand the necessary procedures, Jasmine explained. She draped the scarf around her neck, adjusted it, and then pulled a small mirror from her purse to check her reflection. From her expression, she was quite satisfied. The mirror was then passed to Serena. The pink scarf made her fair skin look even more radiant. Only Luna looked on, holding the scarf in her hands, seemingly reluctant to put it on. Director In, you should try it on too, Cole said gently, understanding her frugal habits, which made his heart ache a little. Okay. With a word from Cole, Luna obediently tried it on. The white was a perfect match for her, giving her a delicate, ethereal air. Luna was satisfied, and Cole was both satisfied and proud. His taste was impeccable, but now it was time to leave. He put on a very busy expression. Well, you all get back to it. I have to hurry back to the office. I've got some things to take care of. All right, go on then, Jasmine nodded. She gave her brother a deep look, her gaze then sweeping over the other two. There was an unreadable expression in her eyes, as if she was trying to confirm something, but couldn't find the answer. Serena and Luna smiled softly, waving their hands, their eyes filled with his reflection. "I'm off," Cole said with a wave. He walked out of the shop with steady, long strides. Once he turned the corner, he put a hand on his chest and took a deep, shuddering breath. The heart that had been lodged in his throat finally began to drop. They weren't gossipers by nature, and when they were focused on business, they probably wouldn't talk about personal matters. If one of them had spilled the beans, he would have been dead for sure. He could only pray his luck held out. There was no point in worrying about it. He could only leave it to fate. After calming himself down, Cole hurried back to the mall to pay the price for his quick thinking. On the way, he messaged Yvonne and told her to send a couple of people to pick up the scarves. His original plan was to simp for his three goddesses with a romantic, snowy gesture. He never expected to run into an accidental summit meeting. Now he had to be a simp for his entire staff, spreading warmth and goodwill. It was a true display of universal love. It ended up being a considerable expense, but he could write it off as a company operating cost. Soon, every employee at Headline Today and the Tea Alchemist received a token of their boss's love. Everyone was delighted. Some were already wearing scarves, but the ones from the boss were clearly higher quality. And who would say no to a free gift? Outside, the sky grew heavier, and the light snow turned into a blizzard that lasted for 2 days. Eastwood University was transformed into a blanket of white. Countless students, especially those from the South, reveled in the snow. Cole's hometown of Linden Creek got snow, so he wasn't particularly fazed. He sat calmly in his classroom, listening to the lecture. He had no choice. He had completely given up on English. He'd barely memorized any of the vocabulary. Cramming now would be useless. Computer science, ethics, modern history, and military theory weren't too hard. He could still fight for a passing grade. Calculus was probably a lost cause. His major-specific courses were fine, as they were mostly foundational theory. Sigh. He was on his way to becoming the bottom of the barrel at Eastwood. The founder of Headline Today, a failing student at a top university. It didn't sound great, but it was fine. Steve Jobs had dropped out. Cole compared himself to the giants, shamelessly comforting himself. During this time, Headline Today ran smoothly. Ads for 7 or 8 businesses were already online and receiving positive feedback. Ms. Potter's Hot Pot restaurant, in particular bolstered by the love story angle, had become famous. It was so popular it was rivaling the Caspian Buffet. With his first successful round of sales as a model, Headline Today had fired its first real shot. Some businesses started approaching them directly, including small fashion brands, shoe stores, and even hosiery companies. Stockings, after all, were a high-turnover item, often treated as battle-damaged goods by certain customers with destructive tendencies. Basically, any product a student might use was now on the radar of local business owners. Yvonne's marketing department was running at full steam, dividing and conquering the promotional tasks. She even had the authority to apply for funds and allocate resources. Cole stayed out of it completely, only looking at the results. It was fair to say Yvonne was the most powerful person at Headline Today. But the pressure was immense. The ad planning department was swamped, and the editorial team had to pitch in to write copy and develop concepts, but they were compensated with bigger bonuses. The engineering department continued with maintenance and optimization, while Wyatt and the other 3 co-founders secretly worked on a new mission, the boss's mobile app project. With smartphones becoming more common in 2011, a mobile app was inevitable and would become their main platform. Cole held a small meeting with the 4 of them, laying out the goals for the next 5 years. The engineering department was officially renamed the development department, with Wyatt as its director. The other 3 veterans each led a team, gradually expanding their ranks. The company was running itself, and the summit meeting of the 3 goddesses at the tea shop seemed to have had no negative aftershocks. Everything was calm. This gave Cole the peace of mind and time to actually sit in a classroom. His phone vibrated several times. He snuck a peek and then ignored it. It was an unfamiliar local number. He'd been getting calls from strange numbers for a while now, and Will, the poached employee, had tried to contact him too. He'd hung up and blocked the numbers every time. Private conversations were pointless. If they wanted to compete, they could do it in the marketplace. To the victor go the spoils. He, Cole Chun, was ready to accept the outcome. And so, during the final exams 2 days later, he was defeated. After several days of exams, he became the sage of his dorm room, the one with the most money but the lowest grades. He might even have the lowest grades in all of Eastwood. Fortunately, he barely passed his core finance courses. And fortunately, The university was relatively lenient about freshmen failing classes. However, he could forget about any future honors or selections, student government, party membership, graduate school recommendations, public service appointments. Cole was well aware of this and knew he wasn't cut out for a bureaucratic life anyway. His lot in this life was to rise above the mundane while embracing the simple life. Yes, he was elevating his academic failure to the level of a spiritual pursuit, but it was still embarrassing. All three of his goddesses were top students, while he was the king of failing. It was awkward. Ding, 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 ding. His phone buzzed with a series of Facebook Messenger notifications. Cole grabbed it from his bedside table. It was already 10 in the morning. For the first time since starting college, he had slept in. It was a message from Jasmine. Cole, it's okay if you fail the class. You could just retake it. Don't stress yourself out. Serena. Cole, I asked Professor Chin for you, and you can apply for a makeup exam. It's all my fault. I never properly tutored you. Next time, I'm not letting you eat the prize piglet. We're going to study seriously. Luna, brother, it's okay to fail. You've invested your time in other, more important things. We can just study it again. Cole's spirits soared. He felt incredibly encouraged. Look at this. This is what you call women behind a great man. Other guys had one woman behind them, at most. He had three. Who cares about failing a class? Time to rise up. He replied to each of them. As he was getting dressed, Frank returned to the dorm, sporting two huge dark circles under his eyes, looking completely drained. But he had a blissful smile on his face as he kicked off his shoes and dove into bed. Frank, you missed your update for 2 days, Cole reminded him. The guy had been acting like he was in the honeymoon phase all over again, completely neglecting his web novel. I'll make it up tonight, Frank mumbled from under his covers. Cole sighed. He hoped his suspicions were wrong. Maybe everything was fine. After a moment, he asked casually, Hey Frank, how much does an iPhone 4 go for these days? $1,000, Frank replied instantly from under the covers. Cole's brow furrowed. So he'd already bought one, and it was the 32 gigabytes model, which retailed $4.999. The advance Cole had given him, plus his living expenses, was probably all gone. $1,000 in this day and age. Even Cole himself hadn't done that back then. Sigh. You can't interfere in someone's private life. He would have to get through this on his own. The sound of footsteps announced the arrival of Preston, the influencer, and Javi, their hair dusted with snow. They had been out shooting since early morning. Preston's channel had been doing well recently, landing a few small product placement ads from Headline Today. Judging by the snow, they had probably been filming a shot of him shaking a tree. Hey Cole, is Headline Today open during winter break? Preston asked, brushing himself off on the small balcony. Is there a winter break when you're working? Cole replied without looking up from tying his shoes. That sucks, Preston said, once again forgetting his place. Yeah, well, not getting a promotion on the site sucks more, Cole shot back, raising an eyebrow. Boss Chin's dedication is an inspiration. I'm sure you'll lead Headline Today to national success. Preston immediately backed down, remembering who he was talking to. Just as Cole stepped into the hallway, his phone rang. It was Luna. Hey Lou, so, there's this group called the Flashpoint Theater Club, and they invited me to join. They said they have activities during winter break, with rehearsals and a chance to perform in a real theater. A theater club? They're recruiting now. Cole's brow furrowed. They said since there's more time during winter break, it would be easier to get involved, and there are performance opportunities for practice, Luna explained on the other end. Winter break? The Flashpoint Theater Club? An idea began to form in Cole's mind about his own winter break plans. Flashpoint was one of Eastwood's top 10 student organizations, focused on studying and performing plays. It was mostly comprised of non-theater majors and students taking performance as an elective. They're staying on campus for the break. I heard some of them are. Wait for me. I'm coming over. We'll talk in person. Okay. After hanging up, Cole skipped his trip to the office and headed straight for the accounting department's dorms. Nothing urgent was happening at Headline Today. His presence wasn't essential. Downstairs from the accounting dorm, a guy was saying, Luna, joining a club is something most students would kill for. Why do you need to ask for permission? The vice president of Flashpoint, a guy named Mark Zhang, said it with a joking tone. Don't worry. Flashpoint is one of the top 10 university-level clubs at Eastwood. We're the real deal, huh? He assumed Luna was just a naive freshman, afraid of being scammed. Yeah, Luna, the theater club is really hard to get into. They're the ones who do the choosing, added one of Luna's classmates, a girl named Xiaofeng. Brianna and Felicity stood by without saying a word. They knew exactly who Luna was asking for permission. It was the guy who paid their salaries. They didn't know much about Flashpoint, other than it was a big, well-known club. Felicity had joined a psychology club, but they didn't have many activities. Why don't you all go back first? Can I think about it? Luna said tactfully. Her classmate, Xiaofeng, was already in the club and had sprung this on her today, even bringing the vice president along. They just kept talking, refusing to leave. With Xiaofeng also pressuring her, Luna didn't know what to say. To make matters worse, 2 other clubs were waiting to talk to her as well. She'd never been in a situation like this, and quickly called Cole. How about this? If you have any other concerns, you can bring them up, and I'll do my best to answer them. How does that sound? Mark Zhang said with a sincere expression, a glint in his eyes revealing he had no intention of giving up. I don't know how to act, Luna said, shaking her head. She had 0 experience with performing. That's perfectly normal. You can learn as you go. None of us knew how at first either, Mark chuckled. He didn't care what her excuse was, as long as she was talking. The thing is, I'm not really interested in theater, Luna said, a hint of desperation in her voice, but she didn't want to be rude. They were inviting her to join their club. It wouldn't be right to lose her temper. Interest can be cultivated. Theater can greatly enrich your university life, allowing you to experience a strong artistic atmosphere and develop a unique artistic temperament. Mark persisted, unwilling to stop until he got what he wanted. During the winter break, the club was hosting an event called A Passion for Theater, and he was in charge. There would be seminars and a performance for the students remaining on campus. He'd been searching for a female lead for his new play, but none of the current members felt right. Then Xiaofeng mentioned Luna, and after seeing a photo, he knew he had found her. He had never imagined Eastwood had a girl this beautiful. She had to be his lead. I also don't have time to learn how to act, really. Luna looked at the vice president, but this time she caught a flash in his eyes, a hungry gaze that quickly scanned her body up and down. She instantly understood what was happening. Her brow furrowed, and a surge of anger shot through her. She tried to keep a low profile, and she still couldn't avoid this. Freshman, you can take acting as an elective. Even if you don't, it's easy to pick up. Acting is just about opening your heart and embracing the spiritual evolution of another dimension of life. Mark continued his prepackaged spiel, rambling on. I was a total novice when I joined the theater club, but I gradually fell in love with it. Stage acting helped me find my true self. Brianna noticed a change in Luna's mood and quickly grabbed her arm. Lou, calm down. Just wait for him to get here. This isn't on you. Yeah, that's right, Lou. Just wait, Felicity added. With her psychology background and female intuition, combined with her awareness of Luna's stunning looks, she had a good idea of what was going on. Did a huge club like Flashpoint really need to recruit so desperately? Unlikely. Even if they genuinely wanted to invite Luna to join, was there truly no other motive? Felicity observed the vice president's micro-expressions and the look in his eyes, and it sent a shiver down her spine. There is a world of difference between being admired and being calculatedly preyed upon. But you couldn't say any of that out loud. There was no proof. The anger that had clouded Luna's vision began to clear. This relentless, soft-gloved pressure, all driven by a hidden agenda, had thrown her peaceful heart into turmoil. She wanted to stab him. Taking a deep breath, she offered the most tolerant response she could muster. Sir, I'm waiting for someone. If he says it's okay, I'll go. Haha, Luna, as a university student living in a free academic environment, your body and soul should both be free, not bound or shackled by anyone. Mark was getting annoyed. Why couldn't she make her own decisions? He was about to continue his persuasion when Brianna cut him off. Sir, why don't we just wait? We can talk about it in a bit, okay? If she didn't interrupt, someone was about to explode. Fine, whatever. We'll wait, Mark said, reining in his impatience. A prestigious club like his having to wait. Ridiculous. A few minutes later, Luna's eyes lit up, and she ran toward an approaching figure, drawing everyone's attention. They all wanted to see who this person was. Well, look at this. Quite a crowd, Cole said with a smile. There were 8 or 9 people downstairs, split into 3 small groups. Yeah, 3 clubs. They all want to recruit me for winter break activities. I don't know what's going on, Luna said, clutching his jacket, a hint of apology in her voice. The moment he arrived, the rage in her heart subsided. After getting the full story, Cole whistled under his breath. Besides the theater club, there was a ballroom dancing club, and most ridiculously, a fitness club. He knew exactly what was going on, but he needed to confirm it. Cole led Luna over to the theater club's vice president, who was craning his neck curiously. Sir, can I see the script? The script? Luna can see it, but you can't, Mark said, his mood souring when he saw that Luna was waiting for a handsome guy, especially after she grabbed his jacket. If he sees it, it's the same as me seeing it. Yes or no. Otherwise we're leaving, Luna said, the light in her eyes turning cold. That's fine. I brought it with me anyway. I was going to show it to you, Mark said, forcing himself to swallow his annoyance to achieve his goal. He held out his hand, and Xiaofeng passed him the rolled-up script. Cole took it. It was 4 or 5 pages of neatly handwritten text. The title was Coffee Shop Romance. After a quick scan, he rolled his eyes and asked, "A chance encounter in a coffee shop leads to 2 hugs and a kiss in the first scene. Which genius wrote this?" If it had been a script with some depth, something about metaphors, witches, justice, or conspiracies, Cole wouldn't have minded Luna participating. It would be a good way to enrich her college experience. But what the hell was this? The whole thing reeked of sleazy intentions. Performance majors didn't typically have a kissing scene class, nor would they be asked to imitate kissing or bed scenes. In some specific contexts, a professor might teach students how to use camera angles to fake it, usually to the laughter of the class. But a student-run club's original work had no such restrictions. As long as you weren't having actual sex on stage, anything went. Cole stared at the vice president, noticing his darting, evasive eyes. In his past life, Cole's own second-rate university had a theater club. One performance had broken up a perfectly happy couple. The kiss was supposed to be faked, but the male lead, the vice president and playwright, went for it for real. The actress struggled, and the scene descended into chaos. Her boyfriend, who was already unhappy about the scene, jumped on stage and a fight broke out. Both were disciplined by the school. The incident drove a wedge between the couple, and they eventually broke up. And the actress, of course, was disgusted by the guy and wanted nothing to do with him. Cole knew human nature all too well. Once people got a taste of power, they tended to lose control and get ideas they shouldn't have, just like all those disgraced officials who had once sworn an oath. Besides, with Luna's looks, it was obvious what was going on. The campus theater club needed to go recruiting for a female lead? What a joke. Of course, not everyone was like that, but there were always a few bad apples. This particular club would go on to produce some talented people years later. Cole smiled, his tone polite. Flashpoint, as one of the top 10 student clubs, has a stellar reputation. To be invited by such a distinguished organization is truly an honor for us. His words stunned everyone. Brianna and Felicity's jaws dropped. A kissing scene, boss. Are you crazy? Luna, however, showed no reaction. She knew better than anyone how possessive the man beside her was. Mark Zhang, the vice president, was also taken aback, not expecting it to be so easy. A smile spread across his face. Freshmen were so easy to handle. Just as he was about to speak, Cole continued. An organization this prestigious is, of course, one we can't possibly hope to associate with. Go find your leading lady wherever you want, just not here. 2 hugs and a kissing scene? Who the hell do you think you are? Don't make me punch you. Cole's voice wasn't loud, but his face was dark. There were plenty of vice presidents. If he had to, he'd file a complaint and get this one removed to make room for someone who actually cared about theater. His outburst made the members of the other 2 waiting clubs chuckle. Everyone knew what was going on. This guy was just too obvious, trying to pass off his sleazy script as art. Only a blind person wouldn't see through it. "Excuse me, please show some respect," Mark retorted, his face flushing. "I am here, representing Flashpoint, to recruit a new member. It doesn't mean she would definitely be the lead. Acting is a form of artistic expression. Don't you dare use your filthy mind to slander the word art. When your heart is dirty, you see dirt everywhere. Get out." Luna suddenly exploded, her face beat red. Her clear, powerful voice seemed to shatter the air. Her eyes shot daggers at the vice president, staring at him as if he were her mortal enemy. She already disliked him, and hearing about the hugs and the kiss made her skin crawl. But hearing him talk to Cole like that was the last straw. Her shout stunned everyone into silence. Heads popped out of the dorm windows above to see what was happening. "You, fine. I came here with good intentions to invite you, but I never expected this kind of attitude. I guess I misjudged you. The doors of Flashpoint will forever be closed to such a rude person," he fumed, turning to storm off, forgetting to even take a script. He knew he was in the wrong and didn't dare escalate the situation. The Student Activities Board wouldn't be so easily fooled. His classmate, Xiaofeng, snatched the papers from Cole's hand, gave Luna a regretful look, and hurried after him. Cole gently patted Luna's back. "Don't be angry. Relax." "Okay." Luna took a deep breath, and the color began to return to her face. Then she remembered her outburst and looked at Cole anxiously. "What, do you think she was crude for screaming like that?" But Cole just winked and grinned. "That get out was exactly what I wanted to say. You beat me to it. My Lou and I are on the same wavelength." Luna blushed, a small smile playing on her lips as she gazed at him with star-filled eyes. All her worries vanished. Her thoughtful brother always knew how to take care of her feelings. Brianna and Felicity exchanged a look and sighed in unison. They were two peas in a pod. Cole led Luna over to the other two clubs. Sorry, guys, but Luna has already decided to join just one club. Huh? Luna thought, surprised. Which club? Everyone else was curious too. Huh? The Cole.She fan club. And it's a lifetime membership, Cole announced, beaming. Luna blushed deeply, and her inner world was suddenly filled with sunshine. She couldn't help but slide her hands into Cole's pockets from behind and hug him. What club was that? The 5 people from the other 2 clubs were completely baffled. But they all saw what the goddess was doing with her hands. Before their leaders could even speak, Cole's expression turned serious. I know what you're all thinking. Don't get any ideas. Focus on your clubs, be good people, study hard, and strive for greatness. All right, say no more. We're leaving. Sorry to bother you, the ballroom dancing club said, unable to withstand his lecture, and beat a hasty retreat. Bro, you're the man, said the burly vice president of the fitness club, giving him a thumbs up. He smiled and left as well. They had come for the goddess, but they had seen her attitude. She was like a sealed bomb, completely docile for one person and one person only. There was no point in trying anymore. They had noticed Luna before, but she was rarely seen. They had chosen this time to approach her, because fewer people would be paying attention after the semester ended, making it easier to show their concern and make a move. The show over, the gossip-hungry girls upstairs retracted their heads. Brianna and Felicity went upstairs too, not wanting to be third wheels. Cole took Luna's hand, and they began to walk aimlessly. He had something he wanted to say to her, but Luna spoke first. I want to apply to stay on campus for the break. Cole stopped and looked at her. Her clear, enchanting eyes were filled with apprehension, a touch of melancholy, and a hint of sorrow. She had no home to return to. The dorm was her only sanctuary. A pang of pain shot through Cole's heart. This was exactly why he had come. He deliberately put on a gruff voice. Stay on campus for what? The Cole.She fan club doesn't require you to stay on campus. But Luna thought of her hometown and didn't immediately grasp his meaning. No buts. Cole raised his left index finger and gently lifted her chin, turning her face toward him. He looked deeply into her sad eyes. You're the CFO of Headline today. What do you think you're going for winter break? Besides, for New Year's, you have to be at the Cole.She fan club. The Cole.She fan club? Is that in that apartment? She asked, her chin still held by him, making her feel shy. Her mind was a little fuzzy, and her cheeks flushed red. It's an apartment, but not the one I've taken you to before, Cole said, and then planted a quick kiss on her red lips. A fresh, fruity taste, each sip sweeter than the last. After the kiss, he swallowed, wanting another, but students were approaching from both directions. Cole had to restrain himself for now. It wasn't great to be putting on a free show in broad daylight. An apartment I've never been to. Luna's peripheral vision caught sight of the approaching people, and her face turned a deep crimson. But she didn't pull away from his hand, letting her face rest in his palm like a flower. Suddenly, a brilliant flash of light shot through her mind. It was so dazzling it instantly suppressed the darkness in the depths of her memory, illuminating every corner of her soul. But she wasn't sure. Was it real? Was it possible? She was a little scared. When Headline today goes on break, you're coming home with me. You're my exclusive CFO. Where else would you go? Cole feigned anger, gently pinching her cheek and squeezing her pretty mouth into an O shape. Tell me, where do you want to go? Are you going to listen to me or not? Luna trembled, her heart feeling as if it were enveloped in something soft and warm. It was so comfortable that tears welled up in her eyes. With her mouth pinched, she quickly shook her head, then frantically nodded. Teardrops spilled over, tracing paths down her cheeks. She had already mentally prepared herself to stay on campus alone. That rural village in West Virginia had become her hometown, but not her home. One of the conditions for her uncles to lend her money for college was the ownership of the old family house. Although she had already paid them back with her salary from Cole, the land would never be hers. It wasn't that they didn't value her admission to a top university, but the older generation running the village was more concerned with her getting married, either staying there or in a nearby town. Several wealthy and powerful men in town were already eyeing her. If it hadn't been for her high school homeroom teacher and principal fiercely protecting her, she would have been gone long ago. There was no way she could go back now. Luna had never imagined Cole would say this. She just wanted to be with him, to go wherever he went. But during the new year, he would definitely go home, and she never dared to imagine going with him. And now he had said it. Cole's smile turned tender. He let go and cupped her smooth cheeks with both hands, gently brushing away the tear stains. The undisguised ache and affection in his eyes made Luna unable to hold back any longer. Her lips trembled, and she threw herself into his arms. Sob! Sob! Cole's jacket was unzipped, so just as he had done with Serena, he wrapped it around the person in his arms, giving her a safe space to vent her fear. Sure enough, once she was enveloped, her suppressed sobs grew louder, and her hands tightened around his waist. Passing students cast strange glances at them. The girls looked on with a bit of envy. So you can cry like that. It looks so comforting. I should try that next time. Oh wait, I'm still single. The boys' gazes were a mix of envy and suspicion. Could it be? That girl only has great legs, but her face is too hideous to be seen? Just then, the sobs turned to whimpers. Luna lifted her head, her tear-filled eyes wide. Brother, is it true? If you doubt me again, I'm spanking you, Cole said, rubbing his nose against hers. He had been considering this for a while. On his way over, he had decided it was a must. He couldn't possibly leave her alone at school, knowing she had nowhere to go. The blackened, cynical Cole couldn't bring himself to do it. If this were some woman he'd met in his later years, it would be different. She could go wherever she wanted. But Lou was different. Even though the risk of a total catastrophe was high, he had to do this. Maybe she wouldn't mind, but his attitude in this mattered. A lot. Luna didn't speak, just stared deeply at the person in front of her, her heart filled with an immense sense of security. The passing boys blinked, a sudden, unbearable pain striking their hearts. So, she not only had great legs, but a great face too. Hiss, my heart hurts. I'm a little scared, Luna said, suddenly remembering she would be meeting Cole's parents. What if they didn't like her? Don't be. I'm here. Your future in-laws are really nice people, Cole said, defining the relationship right then and there. He felt a slight pang of guilt. If everything went smoothly, they would be the future in-laws for two people. But for someone aspiring to be the king of greed, that guilt lasted only a moment. The little angel on his shoulder screamed. Shameless. The little devil plugged its ears. What was that? Okay. Although Luna was still apprehensive, with Cole there, she felt grounded. At night, you'll sleep with Director Yang. During the day, you'll be with me. Director Yang is my sister, you know that, Cole added. Sleeping together was out of the question. Okay, I know. Luna blinked. She had also wondered about the sleeping arrangements. It wouldn't be right to sleep with Cole at his family's house. They weren't married. What if his parents thought less of her? Director Yang was very nice. Sleeping with her would be fine. Cole leaned down and gave her a series of kisses, cleaning the tear stains from her face. A little salty, but still delicious. Luna's face, pale from crying, turned red again, but she kept her face tilted up, letting his kisses replace her tears. They walked together for a while longer, holding each other, as Cole told her about the customs and culture of his hometown, Linden Creek. Then he walked her back to her dorm. On his way back to the office, Cole started thinking about the other urgent problems he needed to solve. First, he had to let Jasmine know about this, and Serena too. He needed a reasonable way to handle it. Second, he had to let his parents know. How they would all get along was a problem. After thinking it over, Cole gritted his teeth and called Jasmine first. A phone call was more direct and could convey tone better than a text. Hey Cole, what's up? Jasmine's voice came through, accompanied by the sound of a turning page. Hey sis, I need to run something by you. It's about our CFO, Luna. I told you about her before. How she doesn't have any family left. Her father passed away, her mother remarried, and her relatives are, well, let's just say they're trying to force her into a marriage. She has nowhere to go. She could stay on campus, but something's happened today. Some people with bad intentions have been harassing her. Cole explained the situation, then asked in a respectful, questioning tone, Sis, would it be okay to bring her to Linden Creek with us? She could sleep with you. After all, she's our company's CFO. We should show her some corporate care. The other end of the line went silent, and Cole's heart hung in the balance. He had to get past this hurdle. If Jasmine didn't agree, he'd have to find another way. Have you talked to her about it yet? Jasmine asked after a moment of silence. Not yet. I just chased off the guys harassing her. She was terrified, so I had her go upstairs with her roommates, Cole lied. He didn't dare say he'd already spoken to Luna. That would be acting first and reporting later, which would definitely upset Jasmine. But he was sure that, given Jasmine's character, she wouldn't go and check a story. He added, I wanted to run it by you first, sis. If you agree, then I'll suggest it to her. The line went quiet again. After several seconds, Jasmine said, All right, you can talk to her about it. Okay, I'll bring it up with her and see if she's willing, Cole said, trying his best to keep his voice steady, projecting an air of corporate concern. Inside, he was ecstatic. Cole felt a pang of guilt. He was exploiting Jasmine's kindness. But he had no choice. He really couldn't let Luna go. Sister, whatever you want, I'll give it to you. He admitted he was being shameless, but fate had brought him to this point, and he had to fight for it. Otherwise, both Serena and Luna could develop some serious emotional scars, and the karmic weight of that was too great. It could even lead to something terrible. The purer a person is, the more likely they are to choose a pure, tragic path. He had started out just wanting to have some fun, but he slowly realized he was in too deep, anchored by 3 hearts. In his past life, he couldn't find even one true love. Now he had 3 flavors to choose from. How could he not be content? This was a high-stakes robbery, a mountain of treasure, and he was going for it. The ancient sages said a good man's ambition is 3 wives. He, Cole Chun, though unworthy, wished to emulate the sages. Next, he had to let Serena know, if the CFO suddenly showed up at his house, she would definitely overthink it. Although Serena was a proud little princess, she was also reasonable. Cole dialed her number. Cole, babe, can I run something by you? Of course, what is it? It's about our company's CFO, Luna. Her father passed away in an accident when she was little. Cole repeated the story, embellishing it to make Luna's upbringing sound as difficult as possible. What? It's that bad? I thought her family was well off, Serena said, surprised. Cole had never told her this. She had seen Luna's nice clothes and assumed she came from a good family. Now she realized it was probably her salary from Headline Today that had paid for them. Yes, very difficult. She has nowhere to go for the holidays, so I was thinking of bringing her back to Linden Creek. She can stay with Jasmine and spend New Year's with us, so she can feel the company's care. The main thing is someone was harassing her today, which is what gave me the idea. Who was harassing her? A theater club, a ballroom dancing club, even a fitness club. All sorts of people. Some guys with bad intentions are all after her, said Cole, the ultimate guy with bad intentions without a shred of shame. I hate people like that, Serena said. She knew the feeling all too well and despised it. Okay then, but she has to sleep with Jasmine, okay? Of course. Cole rejoiced internally. Another one down. Cole, I might not be able to stay with you during the break. The Law Society has a winter activity, a recruitment event at my old high school. Serena's voice was laced with frustration and complaint. I don't want to stay in a Law Society at all, but with Professor Chun and my mom. I have to humor them. Cole, you can't be mad at me. I get it, and I understand, babe. We have our whole lives ahead of us. We'll have plenty of time together. I just feel bad that you have to work so hard, Cole said sincerely. With a family like hers, if she had been a slacker, they wouldn't have had any expectations. But because she was responsible and obedient, the pressure from her family was immense, suppressing her true nature. The weight on her must be incredible. In contrast, Cole had never carried such a burden. His parents had tried to pressure him, but they hadn't succeeded. Cole, you're the best, Serena said in a sweet, bright voice. Best at what? Cole asked cheekily. The best kind of bad, Serena replied after a moment's thought. Cole grinned, remembering the movie. Hey, you still owe me a movie night. You want to talk? Last time you tricked me into going, and then you did that to me. Did what? Did you like it? I'm not telling you. So, do you still want to go to the movies with me? Yes. They chatted for a long time, ending the call with a few kisses into the phone. Cole let out a sigh of relief. 2 major hurdles cleared. But there was still one more, his parents. They had bottomless trust in Jasmine, and he was afraid that if they sensed something, their attitude toward Luna might subtly change. Cole checked the time. His mom was probably free, so he called her. What's the special occasion? You actually thought to call me. Helen Chen's voice was laced with sarcasm. Mom, I miss you. Cole chuckled. TCH, I don't believe a word of it. Mom, I really do. Cole continued to sweet-talk her. It usually worked. All right, cut the crap. What is it? Need money? No, it's just, there's this thing. Explaining this to his mother was going to be difficult. After he had laid it all out, the other end of the line went silent. Mom, are you there? I'm here. So, what you're saying is, you started a company, you have 20 or 30 employees, your sister is your administrative director, you also have a CFO, and a classmate as your legal counsel. And you? Yeah, Mom. I need to talk to your sister first. Okay. His mom's reaction was expected. The whole situation was so out of the ordinary. It would be strange if she believed him so easily. It was over an hour before she called back. She must have had a class. Cole was already eating lunch in the dining hall when the call came. Son, you really started a company? Yes, Mom. Why don't you believe me? I'm hurt. Son, it's not that I don't believe you. It's that no one would believe it. Son, about what you asked, Mom agrees. We'll talk about the rest when you get home. Mom, you're the best. However, there are some things I need to tell you up front. You are not to hurt your sister. If you do, I will disown you. Don't worry, Mom. I won't. You'd better not. Son, your sister is very smart. She's the smartest one in our two families. Do you understand? I understand. I hope you really do. We've all seen how good your sister is to you. You're grown up now, and we can't control you, but I hope you understand that some people, once you lose them, you will regret it for the rest of your life. I know what you mean, Mom. Cole felt a bead of sweat. What he was doing now was walking a tightrope, trying to get away with it. If he could just get through this initial period, it would be smooth sailing later. He was surprised his mother was speaking so profoundly. It was as if she already suspected his intentions. Or perhaps she was just worried he would do something to hurt Jasmine. Sorry, Mom. Your son wants to be greedy this one time. As long as you understand. So, Luna, right? She's had a tough time, Sai. Bring her home. Let her sleep with your sister. But I have one condition. Your sister cannot be hurt in any way. I know, Mom. After hanging up, Cole thought for a long time. Just because they had all agreed didn't mean he was safe. Cole had to be on his best behavior, not showing too much affection to any one of them. If he was found out, it would be a disaster. But finding that balance would be incredibly difficult. This New Year's was going to be a serious challenge. Not long after he returned to the Headline Today office, Holly from the student government came to visit. The Student Activities Board had decided to do a feature series called Practice Makes Perfect, an entrepreneurial interview, and after some deliberation, they had set their sights on the recently trending headline today. Holly, from the news division, was assigned the task. In a small conference room, as Holly explained her purpose, Cole was secretly ecstatic. He had just failed his classes, and now he was getting an interview. For a good student like him, who had let his grades slip due to practical entrepreneurial pursuits, shouldn't the university cut him some slack when it came to graduation requirements? At Eastwood, not having enough credits was a terrifying prospect. The university showed no mercy. Unless one interview wouldn't change anything, but at least there was hope. Cole, where would you like to do the interview? Holly asked with a smile. Her cream-colored down jacket was unzipped, revealing a black turtleneck sweater underneath that was stretched taut over her ample chest. If Cole didn't already have his own large granaries to tend to, his eyes would have been glued to her. Anywhere is fine, Holly. Whatever you prefer, Cole said, a little excited at the prospect of saving his GPA. Then let's do it in two parts. One downstairs in front of the Venture Lab, and one upstairs in your office, Holly said, a strange light dancing in her eyes, which were accentuated with a touch of eyeshadow. She was 100 times curious about this underclassman. The tea shop was one thing. That was already a successful venture. But the rise of Headline Today was truly unexpected. The student government had discussed it at length. While Headline Today was interesting, it couldn't compare to major web portals. In an internet dominated by giants, it could make significant waves and would likely become the next face power. Moreover, it seemed to be a money pit with no clear path to profitability. The consensus was that Cole was just relying on family money to keep it afloat. Although the Student Activities Board hadn't made an official statement, the student government speculated that they weren't optimistic about its chances either. But now, Headline Today was starting to turn a profit. It was attracting more and more businesses, with all sorts of advertisers knocking on their door. The number of visit requests had been piling up for days. Whether it could survive in the long run was a question for the future. But for now, its influence was undeniable for a student startup, and it had created quite a few jobs. The pay was rumored to be good, but no one knew the exact numbers. This was why the Student Activities Board was now paying attention. Of course, Cole readily agreed. For an interview this important, he'd run laps around the building if she asked. All right, let's start downstairs then, Holly said with a smile. The slight upturn of her lips, combined with the perfect amount of mirth in her eyes, gave her a rather bewitching look. Okay, Holly. The two of them, plus a cameraman, oh, it was the same guy from the tea shop interview, whose looks were still unimportant, went downstairs and stood in front of the Venture Lab sign. Holly, holding a list of questions, began the interview. Cole, what was your motivation for starting Headline Today? Before I even came to Eastwood, I was deeply moved by its enterprising spirit. After arriving, I was inspired by the university's three core tenets: innovation, exploration, and practice, and I had the idea to start a business to apply what I've learned to a practical venture. With the support of the Student Activities Board and the help of the Venture Lab management, I was able to rent an office and create Headline Today, Cole said with great sincerity, looking like a Boy Scout. Cole, have you encountered any difficulties or interesting things during your entrepreneurial journey? Holly chuckled, thinking you're quite the actor, kid. Of course, there have been difficulties. It's all about how you face them. You have to maintain a positive attitude and think about the alumni who have graduated from Eastwood. Compared to the challenges they faced, mine are nothing. Holly's smile didn't waver, but she was groaning internally. Can you please stop sucking up? Cole, what is your philosophy on life? To be optimistic, positive, enterprising, and courageous. The spirit of Eastwood is my philosophy on life, Cole declared with a solemn expression, his eyes shining with firm resolve. Ugh, this kid was impenetrable. Holly sighed. She had wanted to embellish his quotes to make him look good and curry some favor. Now it seemed she could use his answers verbatim. The Student Activities Board would probably nod in approval and declare him a model student. Cole, have you met anyone who shares your vision during this process? Perhaps someone you'd want to spend the rest of your life with. Of course. Cole smiled. Holly's spirits lifted, then fell again. So he had a girlfriend. I've met all the upperclassmen at Headline today. We discussed the future of the company together, how to better serve our fellow students. We're always on the same page. I hope that they can walk with Headline today, and with me, toward a bright future. As Cole got more animated, he even made a fist and pumped it in the air. Holly felt deflated. Okay, this guy was a pro. Everything he said was calculated and diplomatic. He should have gone into politics. They went upstairs. As they toured the office, she asked a few more questions, all of which he answered flawlessly. After the interview, Holly, her makeup making her look even more alluring, blinked her eyes. Aren't you going to buy me dinner, Cole? I have a few more questions I'd like to ask you. Of course I'll treat you to dinner. Here, take my meal card. You and the cameraman can go to the dining hall, order whatever you want. You can max it out, Cole said with a hearty laugh, generously offering his card. No need, I was just kidding. Maybe next time, Cole. If there's a chance after the break, you can treat me to a private dinner. It would be a nice thank you for writing 2 articles about you, Holly said, her eyes flashing. As she pushed his hand back, she purposefully grabbed it. Little brother, can you withstand my 20 years of expertise? For her, a capable young man like him was a rare find. Definitely prime, boyfriend material. The cameraman standing nearby shot Holly a resentful look. If you don't want it, I do. Why did you have to push it back? No problem, Holly. Cole agreed instantly. It was a problem for after the break. Right now is not an option. If he went to dinner with this journalist today, the whole school would know by tomorrow, and she would probably write an article about it. The untold stories of Headline Today's founder. She could easily absolve herself of any wrongdoing, painting a picture where he was infatuated with her, but she had gracefully declined. Cole, on the other hand, would have a much harder time explaining himself. A guy taking a beautiful, charming, and well-endowed woman out to dinner with no ulterior motives? Who would believe that? Holly, the student journalist, was someone to be kept at arm's length. If one of his 3 guardian angels had been with him, Cole might have braved an interview. But going alone was out of the question. At this stage, he had to protect himself. That evening, the article, Practice Makes Perfect, an entrepreneurial interview with the founder of Headline Today, went live. It was posted on the Eastwood University homepage and pinned to the Student Activities Board's digital bulletin. This time, it included a photo. Unfortunately, this kind of article was only ever read by the hyper-ambitious students, the ones gunning for summa cum laude and a Rhodes Scholarship, or maybe would get name-dropped in some leadership seminar. Still, it had its benefits. This was an official stamp of approval from the university. On Cole's instruction, Fiona screenshotted the article from the university website and posted it on Headline Today. He had to remove the photo, though. It was enough for the user base to know that Headline Today was a legit, university-recognized platform. He preferred to keep a low profile himself. He didn't want to get stopped on campus by classmates offering unsolicited advice. Or worse, the users whose lewd memes got rejected by the moderation team might corner him, demanding he loosen the content filters. The most terrifying scenario? Walking down the campus green and being swarmed by a legion of girls with long legs and chests that defied gravity. Chasing him, screaming for his autograph, for a selfie, for a hug. It's Cole Chunt. Cole, I love you. Cole, you're so hot. What would he even do? No, it was better that no one knew his face. Not until he graduated and was long gone. He refused to be like the founder of Alibaba, who documented his entire journey from the beginning, letting carefully selected photos leak every now and then to inspire his followers and remind the world of his humble, grinded-out origins. Cole preferred the style of the founder of ByteDance, utterly discreet. Even a titan like Steve Jobs only had a few photos from his garage days floating around. Cole's empire wasn't on that level yet, but he could at least adopt the same quiet confidence. By the end of January, Eastwood University had emptied out for winter break. Students lugged overstuffed suitcases and duffel bags toward home, but a good number had also applied to stay on campus. The dining halls kept a skeleton crew on duty. Rumor was they served a free dinner on New Year's Eve and a meal on New Year's Day. During the break, various student clubs organized activities, volunteering downtown, taking members on educational trips to tech companies or museums, shoveling snow for the elderly. It sometimes led to retirement homes being hilariously overstaffed, with 3 different university clubs showing up to care for the lonely all at once. But it was admittedly a good character-building experience for the students. Cole wasn't a member of any club. He didn't have to go anywhere. His only duty was to watch over Headline Today and The Tea Alchemist. He had done the volunteer thing once in his past life. The memory still baffled him. The literary society at his mediocre college had gone on a research trip. Their subject? A massive, green, plastic slide at a public park. The kind adults could use. A dozen students stood there, staring at it for half an hour, before being instructed to write an essay on the slide's societal impact. He never figured out what insights they were supposed to glean, but they all died laughing about it afterward. Serena was on break, too. She had to go home, then visit her alma mater, Linden Creek High, to give a presentation about the Eastwood Law Program. She also had to visit her maternal grandfather. The night before she left, she and Cole huddled under the covers for one last private tutoring session. The lesson plan consisted entirely of him worshiping his prize piglet and her 2 perfect alabaster roses. It was a long, torturous night of study. So much so that the next morning, her cartoon bear pajamas were still damp. When Serena left, Cole could only watch from a distance. He couldn't see her off. The car sent to pick her up was a Mercedes S600, the fully loaded luxury model. It was dispatched by her paternal grandfather. That settled it for Cole. Serena's grandfather wasn't in politics. No public servant would drive a car that ostentatious. Which meant Serena's father, David Shunn, had chosen a life of civil service on his own. For a moment, Cole felt the crushing weight of the gap between them. He made a silent vow. Just you wait. Serena was his. He just had to work harder. She waved at him through the rear windshield, her expression a mixture of longing and reluctance. He mirrored her sad smile, watching until the car's taillights vanished around the corner. Back at the Headline Today office, Cole arranged the holiday schedule. Jasmine had already collected everyone's vacation requests. A dozen employees needed to leave early. The Tea Alchemist's revenue would plummet during the holidays anyway. The town wasn't bustling like it would be in later years. After consulting with Jasmine, they decided to close both businesses for the 3 days leading up to the Lunar New Year, reopening a week after. Perhaps because he was bringing Luna back to Linden Creek with him, Jasmine had been giving him the cold shoulder for days. She spoke to him only about work, nothing else. Cole didn't press the issue or offer an effusive apology. It wasn't that he was being difficult. It was time to manage the situation. When a woman was emotional, you couldn't just coddle her and sue for peace. You had to apply pressure, then release it. A man had to keep at least a fifth of his mind in a state of cool detachment, ready to adjust the dynamic at the right moment. By skillfully guiding her emotions up and down, making her feel a mix of pain and pleasure, the walls around her heart would become illusory. The joy that followed the pain would create a deeper dependency. She would sink further and further until she could no longer escape. Jasmine was already the type who wouldn't want to escape, so Cole didn't have to be too deliberate. Just a little adjustment. He had to make her feel a slight tension, while also subtly reminding her of his bottomless affection for her. This wasn't a lack of love. On the contrary, it was because he loved her that he needed to manage their bond with a cool head, to make it more flavorful, more enduring. The new, darker Cole never let his emotions dictate his actions. He only focused on the outcome. Had he ever seen anyone who threw their whole heart in, no hold barred, come to a good end? This version of him had never said the words, "I love you," or "I like you" to a woman. Not unless she said it first, and then he would only echo the sentiment to play along. Love was sometimes a game of human nature. The moment "I love you" left your lips, you surrendered the initiative. If you were with someone who didn't cherish that, they would climb on top of you and stomp you into the ground. You'd find their moods harder and harder to placate, until finally, everything shattered. This was especially true for the pure love guys, who thought a successful confession meant they'd conquered the girl. In reality, the girl was often just enjoying the chase. She'd accept the next guy just as easily. The whole process was tasteless to her. The essence of love was dopamine, and those 3 little words didn't produce it. Mouths were for kissing. Hands were for touching. That's where you found the dopamine. In the future, the words, "I love you" would have a net negative impact. Financial support worked, but that was a bottomless pit. So what was the solution? Go straight for the physical. Seize the initiative. It was a habit Cole had no intention of changing. He never said, "I love you," or "I like you" to any of the 3. He didn't say it, but he showed it. The effect was far more powerful. For days, he sent no messages. He didn't ask if she wanted to travel home together. He waited patiently. Eastwood Tech, the library. Jasmine picked up her phone, hesitated, and put it back down. She stared at a book for a while before the silent screen lit up. Jasmine snatched the phone and unlocked it. Her face fell in disappointment. It was a message from Alex, who had left for home that morning. Alex, hey, 10 minutes from my house. Jasmine, okay, be safe. Text me when you're inside. After sending the reply, Jasmine stared at the contact name in her phone, Bad Little Brother. She fell into a daze. Her finger hovered over the text box, then retreated. Her expression was a knot of conflict, her bright eyes flashing with a mix of resentment and indignation. The rest was pure, concentrated longing. You jerk. Bastard. You're ignoring me. You won't text me. I hate you. What are you even doing? You don't miss me at all, do you? Fine. Don't miss me. See if I ever talk to you again. Jasmine put her phone down and forced herself to read, but the words swam before her eyes. The library was quiet, emptier than usual. Every time her screen lit up, she would grab the phone with breathless anticipation, only to put it back down in disappointment. Over and over, her face grew clouded and listless, her expression so cold that two guys who had been thinking of sitting at her table were scared away. Is he with Luna? Is he tired of me? If not, why is he ignoring me? The winter break was supposed to be their world. When both sets of parents were out visiting relatives, she and her little brother could sleep together, bite each other, and now, there was someone else. How were they supposed to sleep together now? So annoying. That monster doesn't care about me at all. Fine. Don't text me. We'll see who talks to who when we get home. That evening, Jasmine ate a tasteless meal in the cafeteria. She wanted to text him, but her pride wouldn't let her. She returned to her empty dorm room and lay on her bed, listlessly flipping through a book. Finally, she couldn't take it anymore. She opened Facebook Messenger, ready to break the silence. She had just typed out, "The tickets are hard to get. We should go to the state capitol first," when a message from him popped up. Cole, sis, can you arrange the company dinner for tomorrow night? My head is killing me. I'm going to lie down for a bit. The moment she saw the message, all of Jasmine's resentment melted away, replaced by a wave of concern and heartache. The last shred of her pride vanished. Jasmine, Cole, are you sick? Do you have a cold? She waited. No reply. A knot of anxiety tightened in her stomach. He never got headaches. Was it a fever? Or was he just overwhelmed by stress? It made sense. Juggling so many things, responsible for so many people's salaries, the pressure must be immense. Had you been too selfish? She quickly dialed his number. It rang a few times before he picked up. Cole, where are you? Do you have a fever? She asked, her voice tight with worry. Sis, I'm fine. Just need to rest in the dorm for a bit. Can you handle the dinner for me? I need to sleep. My head is splitting. Cole's weak voice crackled over the line. Jasmine's heart clenched. Stay put. I'm coming over right now. Sis, you don't have to. I'm fine. Just remember to arrange the dinner. Jasmine hung up, threw a few things in her bag, and ran out of her dorm. A moment later, she ran back in, grabbed a thermometer from a box on her desk, and sprinted down the stairs. Meanwhile, Cole was lounging on his dorm bed, one leg crossed over the other, swinging it idly. He'd bet his life savings she'd come running. Now all he had to do was put on a convincing performance of a man in agony. Got her. His 3 roommates had already gone home. Estimating her arrival time, Cole hopped off the bed, grabbed a bucket, and filled it with steaming hot water from the communal dispenser. After adding a splash of cold water, he started soaking his feet. It was so hot he hissed through his teeth. Sweat beaded on his forehead, and his face flushed red. Just as he was starting to enjoy it, he heard the sound of small boots rapidly climbing the stairs. The dorm was so quiet that the sound from 2 doors down was crystal clear. It had to be Jasmine. Cole pulled his feet out of the water, quickly hid the bucket on the small balcony, and wiped his feet with a dirty long-sleeved shirt lying on the floor. He scrambled onto his bed, pulled the covers up, and closed his eyes, feigning a deep, pained sleep. A moment later, the boots clattered into his room. Cole, how are you? Jasmine rushed to his bedside and pressed a hand to his forehead. Oh my God, you're burning up. Your face is all red. We should go to the campus clinic. MMM. Cole groggily opened his eyes and saw her beautiful, worried face. Sis, he said weakly, what are you doing here? A small pang of guilt pricked him, but it was necessary. This was the ladder he was offering her. If he had asked her to come directly, she would have been too proud. But if he was sick, she would come without hesitation. A girl's stubbornness crumbles when given a justifiable reason. This was a tactic that only worked on Jasmine. If it were some other girl from his future, she'd probably hope he'd just drop dead. Her take care of him? Dream on. She'd rather play another round of Candy Crush. Of course, not all girls were like that, but a good majority were. With his luck, if he said he was sick, she'd just use the opportunity to go out on a date while he was indisposed. "You're sick, of course I'd come," Jasmine said, shooting him a glare, but her eyes were filled with worry. "I'm fine, sis. I'll be okay after some sleep." Cole's eyes were half closed, but his heart stirred. The girl by his bed. She was the one who should grow old and die with him. "Where's your water card? I'll go get you some hot water." Jasmine didn't see it on his desk. "Don't worry about it, sis. I have some in my cup." Just as he said it, Jasmine spotted it. "This isn't enough. I'll get some more and make a hot compress for you." A hot compress on the forehead was the traditional Linden Creek cure for any headache or cold. It didn't matter what caused it. The solution was always the same: compress. She walked toward the small balcony and spotted the bucket of water, still steaming. She dipped a finger in. It was still hot. "Cole, did you get this water?" "Yes, sis. I was going to take a quick shower." Cole had a bad feeling, but he couldn't admit he'd used it for a foot bath. With Jasmine's intelligence, she'd figure out his flushed face was from the hot water. "Which one is your towel?" Jasmine called out. Towel. There's only one hanging there." "That's mine," Cole said through gritted teeth, his eyes blinking furiously. "No way, sis. What are you about to do?" Then he heard the sound of the towel hitting the water. "The water's still pretty hot." "This should work," Jasmine said as she wrung out the towel. She walked back into the room. "Hurry, a hot compress will make your head feel better." "A compress?" Cole's eye twitched. "With the water, I just soak my feet in." "Sis, maybe we shouldn't. Hurry up, before it gets cold." Jasmine insisted. She stood on her tiptoes, pressed the warm, damp cloth onto Cole's face, and then folded it to lay across his forehead. "Is that better?" A little better." Cole sighed internally. "It's just my own foot water. It's probably fine, right?" Ugh. Next time I have to come up with a better excuse. But then again, this wasn't so bad. It would make his forehead genuinely warm. "Huh, perfect. Cole, I brought a thermometer. We need to check. If you have a high fever, we have to go to the clinic." Jasmine pulled the thermometer from her bag. A thermometer? Cole was both stumped and mortified. The jig was up. How was he going to explain this one? "Here, stick this under your arm. Hold it tight, or it won't be accurate." Jasmine took the plastic cap off the thermometer and handed it to Cole. If she could have reached, she would have shoved it under his arm herself. Sis, I don't think we need to. It's probably just a low-grade fever," Cole said, maintaining his weak and helpless facade, though his heart was hammering. How could he dare? A thermometer would expose the whole charade. "You never listen." Jasmine's pretty face hardened. She retracted her hand and began to take off her boots. This made Cole anxious. She's really going to force the issue. In a moment, Jasmine had climbed the ladder to his bunk, making the bed frame creak and groan. Thankfully, it was sturdy enough for two. She knelt on the mattress, lifted Cole's right arm with one hand, and with the other, slipped the thermometer under his long-sleeved shirt. Once she was sure it was snug in his armpit, she lowered his arm. "Hold it there." Cole was on the verge of tears, but he clamped his arm down, praying for a miracle. A reading of 100 degrees Fahrenheit or higher. Anything less, and the consequences would be dire. The entire dorm building was silent, save for the occasional mumble of students passing by downstairs. The few who remained on campus were either asleep or at an internet cafe. Jasmine, apparently finding kneeling uncomfortable, lay down on her side, pressed against him. Then, thinking she might be making him uncomfortable by lying on top of the comforter, she sat up, lifted the covers, and slid in beside him. The poor single mattress now bore the weight of two people. It was so narrow they were pressed tightly together. Her clean, floral scent filled his nostrils. In spite of himself, a few stray thoughts flickered through Cole's mind. He bit his tongue, trying to inch away and maintain his composure, lest he be discovered immediately. "What's wrong? You're disgusted by me." Jasmine glared at him. She bent one leg and draped it over his. No. How could I be? I was just trying to make some room for you," Cole quickly explained, his weak face contorting into a pained grimace. Jasmine felt the towel on his forehead. It was still warm. Cole suffered in silence, determined to see his act through to the end. After about 5 minutes, Jasmine reached under his arm and retrieved the thermometer. She sat up, gave it a shake, and held it up to the light, turning it until she found the thin line of mercury. After a few seconds, her expression turned to one of confusion. 99, 3 degrees Fahrenheit. That wasn't a fever, which meant this bastard was faking. But no fever was a good thing. She glanced at her brother's face and asked flatly, "Does your head hurt a lot?" A little bit," Cole said, eyes still closed, choosing his words carefully. "It's possible to have a headache without a fever, right?" He had barely finished the thought when a sharp pain shot through his arm. Hiss! I'll give you one chance to come clean. Jasmine pinched the skin on his arm and twisted just slightly. This bastard never got headaches. He hadn't had a single cold since elementary school. If there was no fever, he was definitely acting. He had almost fooled her. Come clean about what, sis? My head really does hurt, Cole insisted, deciding to deny it to his dying breath. Turn over. Look at me, Jasmine commanded. She propped herself up on her right elbow, her palm cupping her head. Cole had no choice but to turn onto his side. They were face to face, one high, one low. He could smell the sweet scent of her breath. Are you sick or not? Tell me the truth, and I won't be mad. Jasmine stared at him for a few seconds, her expression suddenly softening, her voice turning gentle. But her eyes were silently cataloging his every micro-expression. In her heart, she already knew he was faking, but she needed to hear him say it. His attitude in confessing was what mattered. Cole wasn't about to admit it directly. He decided to play dirty. He moved closer until their lips were almost touching. In a low, husky voice, he said, I just missed you. Hearing this, Jasmine stared at him, momentarily stunned. Cole gazed back at her, his eyes deep and sincere. They looked at each other like that for a long time, each clearly reflected in the other's eyes. After a long moment, Jasmine buried her face in his shoulder and gave him a gentle bite, her tone tinged with mock anger. If you miss me, why didn't you just say so? Why did you have to act? You're not a child anymore. What do you mean, again? Like I've ever acted before. Am I right? You've never acted. Not once in your entire life. I really haven't. You little liar. I can't even be bothered to call you out on it. They kept talking, their conversation filled with what sounded like nonsense, but it seemed as if they could go on forever. Much later, Jasmine's down jacket and pants were folded in a corner of the bed. The long night didn't feel long at all. When he woke up in the morning, Cole's nose was a little runny. He had actually caught a bit of a cold. His mattress didn't have a pad, and worried that Jasmine would be uncomfortable, he had folded a third of his comforter under her. As a result, he hadn't had enough to cover himself. They had been busy until late last night, talking for hours. The person in his arms was still asleep. The scent of her hair and her soft breathing filled the space under the covers. A girl who was clean and healthy didn't have bad breath in the morning. Cole knew this from experience, from all the times they'd slept together before. Now, there were two more equally clean girls in his life. Life was good. In his past life, you wouldn't dare face your partner in the morning. The risk of suffocation was too high. After another hour or so, Jasmine woke up. The first thing she did was check the bite mark on Cole's shoulder. She touched it twice, then a satisfied smile spread across her face. It was better that he wasn't sick. It was okay that he had tricked her a little. It was even okay that Luna was coming to their house for the break. The one thing that was not okay was her brother not missing her, and not letting her bite him. Even more unacceptable. Jasmine murmured lazily, Cole, after the dinner tonight, have Luna pack her clothes. Just a few changes is enough. She doesn't need to bring anything else. Got it, sis. Cole's heart settled. After their talk last night, he could feel that Jasmine had let go of her resentment. The price was a few sore spots on his body. Suddenly, you're playing with fire, Cole warned with a stern face. Oomph. You're not allowed. Jasmine nibbled on his shoulder, her cheeks flushing crimson. The warm cocoon of the bed was the perfect place for stray thoughts. Cole, we should get up. Though the top beauty of Eastwood Tech said this, her hands held him tight. That morning, a physically and emotionally satisfied Jasmine personally went to invite Luna to their hometown. Cole and Yvonne arranged the evening's dinner. They decided on the Caspian Grill and Buffet. The company was too new for a formal end-of-year party. Everyone from Headline Today and the Tea Alchemist, who hadn't already left for home, was invited to eat together. They also invited Tanya, the girl from the Venture Lab who was staying on campus, and Jessica, the vice president of the student government, who also hadn't gone home yet. Most of the Headline Today staff knew her, as she had recommended many of them for their jobs. The holiday break would officially start the next day. The following afternoon, Cole pushed a large, new suitcase filled with Jasmine and Luna's clothes as he led the two girls home. Cole carried his own backpack, stuffed with his laptop and underwear. The three of them took a cab to the Rockford high-speed rail station. They hadn't managed to get second-class tickets, but they'd luckily snagged 3 first-class seats on a direct train to their city. It was more expensive, but at least they were going home. The train station was a sea of people. It was teeming with all sorts. Some looked like normal travelers, but were actually watching your bags and pockets. Whenever someone got too close and then pretended to be on the phone without moving away, Cole paid extra attention. The two girls weren't naive either. Their gazes were constantly vigilant. In an era before Gen Z had fully come into its own, a nearly 6-foot-tall guy leading two girls who were both 5'7" and drop-dead gorgeous. The effect was like a panda wandering into a crowd of pigeons. From the ticket counter to the waiting area, wherever they went, they were like magnets, pulling the eyes of everyone around them. One man marveled, "Wow, those two girls are off the charts beautiful." The woman next to him chuckled. "It just means that boy is something special." The man looked skeptical, a hint of disdain in his expression. "He looks average to me, not especially handsome." The woman let out another soft laugh. "He's either got money, or he's got serious game. You have neither, yet you're still so proud." The man was even more indignant. "I know how to make flatbreads and biscuits. Isn't that a skill?" The woman just sighed and shook her head, saying no more. Her eyes remained fixed on the boy, watching him with keen interest. Cole felt as if he were surrounded by daggers of jealousy, completely unaware that someone was coolly assessing his strength. They waited for nearly an hour before boarding. The first-class cabin had 2 seats on each side of the aisle. Cole had the 2 girls sit together while he took the seat across the aisle. Once they arrived in the city, they hired a car to take them the rest of the way home. The closer they got to Cole's house, the more nervous Luna became. She wanted to hold Cole's hand, but she was too shy to do it in front of Jasmine. "Don't worry, my mom's really nice. You can call her Auntie or Ms. Chun," Cole said with a smile. He was confident the little lamb wouldn't throw herself into his arms, so he'd have to find a chance to comfort her in secret later. "Okay." Luna bit her lip and glanced at Cole, who gave her a look full of warmth and encouragement. Her anxiety eased slightly. As long as Cole was there, she wouldn't be afraid. "Luna, relax. My godmother and godfather are great people, and so are my parents. Just treat it like your own home," Jasmine added reassuringly. She normally wouldn't be so generous, but the previous night's satisfying bite had dispelled all her frustrations. By the time they reached the millworks, it was almost dinner time. The smell of stir-frying vegetables wafted down the hallway. Cole knocked on the door. "Mom, I'm home." "Godmother." The door swung open to reveal Helen, Chin's delighted face. "My dear girl. My boy. Was the trip okay?" "Oh, and this must be Luna. Come in, come in." Though the siblings arrived together, the order of her greetings revealed their respective places in her heart. "Hello, Annie," Luna said timidly, her expression tense. "Hello, Luna. Please sit down. Dinner will be ready in a minute." Helen beamed, giving her son plenty of face. "Lou, just make yourself at home," Cole said, a subtle double meaning in his words. Luna couldn't help but glance at him shyly. Thankfully, Jasmine had already walked ahead to pour some hot water. "Sis, why don't you give Lou a tour of the headline today, CEO's bedroom?" Cole, ever the sly strategist, suggested to Jasmine. Entrusting her with this task was a surefire way to make her feel secure and act magnanimously. He was certain his sister wouldn't mention that they'd slept in that room together since they were kids, practically nursing at the same time. "Okay, sure." Jasmine readily agreed and led Luna to her brother's room. After putting the luggage down, Cole went into the kitchen. "Mom, you've worked hard." Helen Chin glanced at her son, her eyes holding a trace of reproach. "You just got lucky. You could have easily become a gambler, and you didn't tell us about such a huge thing." She sighed. Her boy really had grown up. "Mom, I had a dream that I won, so I just tried it out," Cole said with a grin. "Son, don't touch that stuff again. Luck won't always be on your side," Helen said, her expression tinged with worry. Card games and mahjong were rampant in Linden Creek. Some people couldn't go a day without playing. She was terrified her son would get addicted to sports betting and fall into a gambling den. "I know, Mom. I won't bet on games again. I'll just focus on my work," Cole said earnestly. He understood his mother's fear. In the end, he really had gambled on his destiny. "All right, go keep your sister and Luna company." When she mentioned Luna, Helen hesitated, but ultimately said nothing more. 10 minutes later, the 3 of them were warming themselves in the living room. The 2 girls sat on the wooden sofa, while Cole sat on a chair nearby. The source of the heat was what Linden Creek locals called a huoboa, a short, ceramic brazier. It was filled with a thick layer of ash, with glowing wood charcoal nestled inside. Without one, winter would be unbearable. Luna had just toured Cole's room and was feeling quite happy. All these things were a part of Cole, making her feel closer to him. At the same time, she could tell that Jasmine was completely at ease in this house, like a biological daughter. For now, she didn't think too much of it. She already had a good impression of Jasmine, so it only made her feel more welcome. Luna wanted to help in the kitchen, but Jasmine stopped her. Unfamiliar with the Linden Creek way of cooking, she would only be in the way. After a few minutes, the pressure on Cole mounted. Every time he glanced up, he would meet the gaze of 2 girls, their eyes sticky with affection. He didn't dare make eye contact with either of them. If he did, He couldn't just be expressionless. He'd have to respond. And if he responded to one, the other would surely notice something was off. He quickly stood up and pretended to set the table. He started talking about trivial company matters, trying to distract the girls. It worked. Their gazes were no longer so intense. Their attention shifted to business. To maintain this fragile peace, Cole even started guiding them in a conversation, imagining what the internet of the future would look like. Ding, 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 ding. His phone buzzed with a Facebook message. Cole pulled it out of his pocket. It was Serena. Serena. Cole, are you home yet? Baby misses you. Cole, I miss you too, baby. Serena, did Luna arrive? Cole, she's here. Talking with Director Young right now. He texted with a perfectly straight face, looking so serious one would think he was discussing quarterly reports with a colleague. Serena, is she sleeping with Director Young? Cole, yes, of course. Serena, oh good. By the way, Haley got back a while ago. She was asking when we could all go to the movies again. Winking face Cole, sounds good. We should definitely go see another movie soon. Smirking face Serena, you're being bad again. Flushed face Naughty, you were so bold with all those people around. Cole, you want more? Smirking face as he typed this. He cocked his head thoughtfully, as if making a momentous decision. Serena, I'm not telling you. Cole didn't reply further. He could feel the two girls' eyes on him again. He casually slipped the phone back into his pocket. Cole, is everything all right? Jasmine asked. It's nothing, sis. Wyatt just had a sudden idea and wanted to run it by me, Cole said with a calm smile. He thought to himself, thank God I never stand near trees or telephone poles during a thunderstorm. Knock, knock, knock. That must be his father, the accountant, home from work. Cole hurried to open the door. Dad, you're back. Godfather. It was indeed the accountant. He first looked at his son with a teasing glint in his eye. Well, well, the great entrepreneur has returned. Then he smiled at Jasmine. Jasmine, you're back. Finally, he looked warmly at Luna. This must be Luna. Welcome to our home for the new year. Hello, Uncle, Luna said, having already stood up, her expression a little tense. Sit, sit, the accountant said, gesturing with his hand. Don't be so formal. Treat this as your own home. It was a common platitude, but to Luna's ears, it felt different. She had no experience navigating these situations and could only sit back down. But her heart settled a little. She was extremely sensitive to people's emotions, and deep down, she didn't detect a single shred of displeasure from Cole's family, not even in their eyes. It was a feeling she'd never had at her relatives' homes. In her memory, her aunt's eyes were like hooks, making her feel as if she were being pricked by needles every day. After he got home, the accountant didn't bring up Cole's company. He just chatted about life at Eastwood University. Jasmine's parents were out at a social function. Otherwise, they would have come for dinner too. Cole started helping to bring out the dishes. Luna saw this and wanted to help as well, but Jasmine held her back. Don't worry about it, you sit. Let him do it. At home, he's not some boss chump. This made Luna's heart ache a little. She really wanted to help. Lou, you just sit. I've got it, Cole said, quickly flashing the young girl a brilliant, reassuring smile when Jasmine wasn't looking. At the dinner table, the whole family urged Luna to eat. Afraid the food might be too spicy for her, Helen had gone light on the chili peppers and even made a soup. Cole, the coward, sat next to his mother, a strategic position that allowed him to avoid the direct line of fire from the two girls' affectionate gazes. He kept his head down, focusing on his food, while chiming in on conversations about school. After dinner, washing the dishes was, naturally, the boss's job. Around 9 o'clock, Jasmine was ready to take Luna back to her house. Cole grabbed the large suitcase to walk them over. It was just one building away, very close. The Chin's apartment only had 2 bedrooms, otherwise Jasmine would have just slept here. He saw the girls to the second-floor landing and then headed home. His parents were waiting for him. It was time for a serious talk. Son, how did you learn all this? The accountant asked, taking a sip of tea. Self-taught. I just read up on current events in my spare time, Cole said with a smile. His parents took turns grilling him, as if to confirm this was really their son. Starting a company, a chain of tea shops no less, it was simply unbelievable. If they weren't both staunch materialists, they would have suspected their son had been possessed. After a series of questions, they gradually relaxed. The whole thing was just too fantastical. They couldn't help but be suspicious. But making money was a good thing, so they dropped it. Now that you've started, do it right. No cutting corners, and pay your taxes, the accountant concluded. Then it was time for personal matters. Son, I can see that this girl is a very nice person. And I can see in her eyes, there's definitely something going on with you too. So what are you going to do about your sister? Don't give me any excuses. I know you two better than anyone, Helen said, her gaze sharp. Mom, it's still early for some things. I need to focus on my business first. I have big plans after the new year. I don't have time to think about all that, Cole equivocated. Could he really tell them he aspired to have 3 wives? His mother would skin him alive. You have to think about these things in advance. Don't be a heartbreaker, understand? Helen sighed. She probably already had an inkling of her son's intentions. She added, your sister is very sharp. Don't think you can hide anything from her. The accountant took over. Cole, sigh. Your uncle and Annie Yang have already prepared her dowry. Everything we're doing now is to build a foundation for you two. If Jasmine gets hurt, I honestly don't know how I would face your Uncle Yang. Cole fell silent. In his past life, after Jasmine's accident, her mother, who was already in poor health, passed away less than a year later. 2 happy families were suddenly plunged into misery. The accountant and Uncle Yang were getting older, and with heavy hearts, their company couldn't keep up with the times. It eventually went bankrupt. After a moment of thought, he said solemnly, I will handle this with care. I won't let anything hurt my sister. If you knew there was also a campus queen in the picture, you'd probably have a heart attack. The Yang family's company would definitely need to pivot. But that didn't matter. With him here, none of that would happen. While Uncle Yang and the accountant were still young and capable, they could steer the company toward something new. I hope you mean that, the accountant nodded, deciding to say no more. That other girl seemed very nice, but, sigh. Jasmine's bedroom. As the north wind howled outside, Jasmine and Luna lay in bed talking. After hearing about Luna's past, Jasmine was deeply moved. It was a life she had never experienced. She had been coddled her whole life, and then her brother had grown up under her protection. Walking 6 miles to school. For someone whose school was a 10-minute walk away, it was unimaginable. Not to mention losing her father at a young age, her mother remarrying and taking her brother with her, leaving Luna alone in the care of relatives. Enduring their disdainful looks. Fending off the leering gazes of men with ulterior motives. The fact that she had survived and made it to Eastwood University was nothing short of a miracle. No wonder she'd grab a knife when she got angry that day. It turned out Director and had practically gone to school with a machete strapped to her waist. Who could imagine? Jasmine felt like she was listening to a fantasy story, as if they lived in 2 different worlds. A deep sense of compassion welled up inside her. When I have money, I want to go back and help my homeroom teacher and the principal. Without their support, I wouldn't have made it this far, Luna said, her gaze distant, as if lost in memories. You should, Jasmine agreed. Then she asked, how did you and Cole meet? It was on a high-speed train. My seat was right next to his. I wasn't feeling well, and then Luna recounted the story of that day, a faint smile playing on her lips unconsciously. Fortunately, the lights were off. Jasmine couldn't see it. Hearing about Cole feeding Luna milk and a small roll, she felt a tiny pang of sourness. He's always had me feed him. He's never fed me. Jasmine conveniently forgot all the times he had catered to her every whim and given her massages. But she wasn't that bothered. After all, Director Ann's upbringing was truly heartbreaking. Luna even told her about losing her living expenses. In front of Cole's sister, she had no defenses. This caused another small twinge of jealousy in Jasmine. What a coincidence for my brother to run into her. The gears of fate. Ugh, no, I can't mention fate. It was just a fleeting sourness. The fact that Luna had been about to throw herself into the lake. That shocked Jasmine, yet it wasn't entirely surprising. Everyone has a breaking point. Already living in a state of constant fear and sorrow, and then to have your last bit of hope taken away. It was only natural to think of giving up on life. No wonder Cole had put her in charge of the finances. There was no one more suitable. At this thought, Jasmine felt another twinge of envy. But she hadn't chosen to major in accounting, otherwise that role would have been hers for sure. It was fine, though. Chief Administrative Officer was good, too. It came with a lot of power and showed how much Cole valued her. Her internal scales balanced out again. The only thing that couldn't be balanced probably was her chest. She really couldn't compete there. Could Cole really resist being tempted? She wasn't so sure. Meanwhile, in Luna's mind, Cole was pacing back and forth. Is he asleep? I can't sleep here. I don't feel safe. It wasn't like her dorm bed, which was hers. And it certainly wasn't like Cole's bed, which was also hers. Her mind was filled with images of his room, the one with the celebrity posters on the wall. I really want to go over there. The 2 girls lay awake, each lost in their own thoughts, until very late. The next morning, Cole was greeted by 2 people with faint dark circles under their eyes. Cole, the boss, was on breakfast duty. Afterwards, he went out with his mother to buy supplies for the new year. The Yang's house was empty, but they still needed to stock up for any visitors. The moment they stepped out, the neighbors all cast envious glances their way. Ms. Chun, my goodness, you are just blessed beyond belief. Ms. Chun, I bet Cole will be getting married right after graduation, won't he? Haha, that's up to him, Helen said, her heart swelling with pride. No matter which one became her daughter-in-law, their looks, their figures, their presence. It was a huge boost to the family's prestige. Maybe it'll be both of them, Ms. Chun mused internally. Cole was having his own internal monologue. Please, for the love of God, don't ask which one is the daughter-in-law. Thankfully, no one asked the fatal question. The four of them went on a shopping spree at the market. With a tycoon like Cole present, they bought whatever they wanted. Helen finally got to experience what it felt like to be truly wealthy. The accountant's salary wasn't low, but he would never indulge like this. The three younger ones ended up carrying a mountain of bags. Cole, just as they were leaving the market, they heard Leo's voice. A reunion between two old classmates should have been a joyous occasion. But when Leo saw the two celestial beauties flanking Cole, one on each side, his spirits immediately sank. The one on the right, he knew, was Cole's godsister. But who was the one on the left? Was there no justice in the world? Cole, come here for a second. Leo grabbed Cole and pulled him aside. What's going on? What's so secret? Cole asked, playing dumb. He gave the two girls a wave. You guys go on ahead, I'll catch up. They walked a short distance away. Cole, is that one your girlfriend? Leo asked, his eyes wide with disbelief as he gestured with his chin. That's a secret, Cole said with a sly grin. He couldn't say for sure. If Leo got the wrong idea, Jasmine might get angry. But not saying anything was as good as saying something. It was up to Leo to interpret. Holy crap. Cole, you're the man. Leo was so shocked his pupils dilated. As a fellow man, he felt he understood the true power of Sir Cole. Enough about me. Are you seeing anyone? Cole changed the subject. I was talking to this one girl, but it was over before I even got to touch her, but Leo said, his face a mask of misery. You went straight for her, but... Cole's inner gossipmonger perked up. My boy Leo is that bold. Of course not. What kind of lowlife do you think I am? She wanted an iPhone 4. Damn thing costs thousands of dollars. Where am I supposed to get that kind of money? Leo shook his head regretfully. Didn't you win some money before? I did, but I'm not going to just throw it away like an idiot. You think I'm stupid? Whoa, nice one. Your guard is up. You know it. Who do you think I am? Plenty of fish in the sea. Why get hung up on one rotten one? You should have seen this girl. The very next day, she was at the Apple store with some sophomore. Was she hot? Don't even mention it. Compared to yours, she's like a puddle next to Niagara Falls. Now, that's what I like to hear. Serena Shun is back too. Have you seen her? Aren't you at the same school? Haven't seen her, but I know she's back. You haven't seen her, man. She's gotten even more beautiful. It's like she's being nourished by love or something. She's absolutely radiant. Leo gushed. Is that so? Cole feigned surprise. Is the nourishment that obvious? He then asked, where did you see her? At the high school. Yeah, where else? Leo shrugged. We had a class reunion a while back. You guys didn't come. Serena just got back a few days ago. Cole knew about this. Serena had been visiting her grandfather. Leo's face soured. At the reunion, that prick Tyler stole the whole show. Let him have his moment. It's no skin off your back, Cole said with a laugh. I just can't stand looking at him. Driving around in that car is like he owns the place, and he's got this girlfriend who talks in this whiny, cutesy voice. Leo sneered. Forget about him. Anyway, I gotta go. We should get together sometime, Cole said, seeing Jasmine wave at him. How about tomorrow for lunch? We can get Serena and Haley to come too. Sure, but I might have to bring people. Cole couldn't just leave Luna behind. That would make her feel unimportant and anxious. And if he brought Luna, he had to bring Jasmine to keep the scales balanced. Serena would probably maintain her ladylike composure. Right? No problem. The more the merrier. After they parted ways, Cole rejoined the two girls. Cole, we need to buy some charcoal. We're running out of home. Carrying the charcoal was, of course, a job Jasmine would assign to her brother. Okay. Sis Lou, we're going out for lunch tomorrow. Director Shun will be there too. Okay. All right. Luna had already heard from Jasmine that the legal director, Serena Shun, was one of Cole's classmates. A small sense of crisis pricked at her, but it wasn't overwhelming. She had immense confidence in herself. A certain someone's wolfish appetite was the best proof of that. And it wasn't just that. She could also feel a deep, special affection from the way he doted on her. After they got home with all their purchases, Cole slipped into the bathroom and checked his messages from Serena. Serena, we have relatives over the next 2 days. I'll find an excuse to sneak out for lunch tomorrow. New Year's Day, I have to go to Grandpa's. Then the day after a bunch of people are coming to our house. Then the day after that I have to go to Grandma's. It's so exhausting. Cole, There's always time, baby. You're working so hard. Serena, it's not hard. I just miss you. He chatted with Serena for a few more minutes, pushing the limits of a plausible bathroom break before finally placating her. That evening, Jasmine's parents, the Yangs, came over for dinner. They heaped praise on Cole, asking him how his website actually made money. Since they were all family, Cole didn't hide anything, explaining his business model in detail. Hearing it from Jasmine was one thing, but hearing it from the man himself was another experience entirely. The four adults were stunned. In their minds, Cole was still a child. And that wasn't even mentioning his 3T shops. The kid who was practically still a toddler yesterday had, overnight, risen to their level. The feeling was indescribably strange and shocking. Jasmine's mother's gaze swept over her own daughter and then to Luna, a flicker of worry in the depths of her eyes. The after-dinner conversation revolved almost entirely around Cole. It was past 9 before the Yangs were ready to leave. Just as Jasmine was about to lead Luna out the door, Luna looked at Cole, hesitating. "What's wrong?" Cole asked. Luna looked shyly at Cole, then glanced at Jasmine. Could I sleep here? I can sleep on the sofa." She pointed to the wooden sofa. A simple quilt would be enough. She wasn't used to sleeping at the Yang's house. Cole instantly guessed her reasoning, but letting her sleep in the living room was out of the question. He looked at Jasmine, his face a mask of righteousness, and negotiated. "Sis, how about? We'll let Lou sleep in my room. I can just sleep in the living room. Then I can sneak in during the night." Fine, Jasmine said coolly. "Luna and I will sleep in your room. You can have the living room." "Oh, okay." Cole's face showed cheerful agreement, but his heart sank. Looks like there would be no sneaking in. His parents, of course, had no problem with it, as long as the three of them weren't all sleeping in the same bed. Cole ran over to the Yang's house to get the suitcase containing the girls' pajamas and toiletries. When Jasmine's parents heard their daughter wasn't coming back for the night, they weren't surprised. Her mother, however, pulled Cole aside for a chat, asking about Luna's situation. Cole told her the whole story. After hearing it, Jasmine's mother just sighed and didn't ask anything else. The girl had had such a hard life. For her to be making all sorts of assumptions would be malicious. If Luna had come from a normal family, she would have hinted to Cole to keep his distance. But now, she couldn't bring herself to say it. Her conscience wouldn't allow it. She was a frail woman and a devout Buddhist. She had her own understanding of compassion and karma. When he returned with the suitcase, the two girls had already taken over his room. They were making a bed for him on the wooden sofa, with a thick quilt for a mattress and another for a blanket. Cole tried lying down. His lower legs dangled over the armrest. The sofa wasn't very long. It could squeeze 4 people sitting, but a person is always longer when lying down. It wasn't going to be a comfortable night. Luna immediately looked heartbroken. "Should I not have done this? Now he won't be able to sleep well." "It's fine. I've slept like this before," Cole said, seeing her self-reproach and quickly reassuring her. Whenever relatives visited, he slept in the living room. After the girls went into his room, Cole moved the brazier a safe distance away and cracked open the sliding door to the balcony. The apartment had good cross-ventilation, so a small gap was enough. It would be a little cold, but that was better than being found stiff and cold in the morning. As the night deepened, he could faintly hear the two girls talking in his room. Occasionally, Jasmine's voice would rise in an excited tone, as if she were telling stories from their childhood. Cole felt a little anxious. "Sis, please, there are some things you really shouldn't talk about." Inside the room, it was pitch black. Luna was lying comfortably, the pillow smelling of Cole. She was listening to Jasmine tell funny stories about her and Cole's childhood. As she listened, she felt a pang of envy. She had never experienced anything like that. For some reason, she felt that Jasmine's tone was excessively cheerful. But this kind of joy was foreign to her. Unable to pinpoint the reason, she didn't dwell on it. Jasmine, meanwhile, was completely lost in her happy memories. She told every story except for the period in high school when Cole had distanced himself from her. A moment ago, she had brushed against Luna. Her heart had immediately soured with an overwhelming jealousy. That little bastard had loved them since he was a kid. Now that he was grown up, what would happen? She was surrounded by danger on all sides. Ugh, it's all my fault for raising him this way. I shouldn't have given it to him back then. Her thoughts spun. Out of nowhere, she asked, "Luna, what did you eat when you were little? Is there anything special in your region that's particularly nutritious?" "Huh? No, just normal things. Potatoes, tofu, stuff like that. But in the spring, there were a lot of wild vegetables. Tuna, bamboo shoots, ferns, chameleon plant, wild celery. Lots of things," Luna replied earnestly after a moment's thought. The speaker was unintentional, but the listener had other ideas. Jasmine began to wonder. Could one of those things make your figure better? They had bamboo shoots and ferns in the countryside around Linden Creek. Maybe she should get some and try them. She was truly envious. The key was that Luna's proportions were perfect. She wasn't just large, she was well-defined. That was a rare combination. Director Young, haven't you eaten those before? I ate them all the time, Luna said innocently. I've had a little. Jasmine instinctively wanted to ask if she'd eaten any special, rare, nutritious meats. But the thought was immediately squashed. She already knew how difficult the girl's life had been. To ask about meat? That was no different from asking, why don't they eat cake? Sigh, forget it. I'm not so bad myself. Besides, if they were any bigger, I wouldn't be able to do lyrical dance. It's already a challenge. But she wasn't at a complete disadvantage. Her own supple figure was more than enough to drive that bastard crazy. Yes, after I have kids, I'll have to keep exercising. At this thought, Jasmine bit down on the comforter. Her cheeks began to burn. She knew she had been playing with fire all along. If Cole hadn't been so respectful of her, he would have broken through her defenses long ago. If she tempted him any further, he probably wouldn't even wait until she was 20. She didn't dare imagine what that would be like. Director Young, do you think he's sleeping okay? His legs are hanging off the end. Luna was still worried about this. It's fine, he's tough. Are you very worried about him? A warning bell went off in Jasmine's head. A little. He'll be sore in the morning. Do you like him? I said, do you like him? Everyone at the company likes him, right? Luna almost blurted out, I like him, but caught herself at the last second. She had keenly sensed a strange shift in Director Yang's tone when she asked the question. The words got stuck in her throat. Her thoughts raced, splitting into two streams. One part told her it was unnecessary to say, that her private feelings shouldn't be broadcast. The second part was more complex. Cole had never said words like, I like you. Did he like her? The answer was, without a doubt, yes. Thinking about the word like, she remembered something that had happened in the fall that had left a deep impression on her. A girl in her class had been confessed to by a boy. He stood in a heart made of candles, holding flowers, and shouted, Lucy, I like you. The romantic scene had made many girls green with envy. Lucy, amidst the cheers, had happily accepted. However, less than 2 months later, Lucy was crying her eyes out. They had reportedly broken up. It all happened so suddenly it left everyone baffled. So romantic, yet over in less than 2 months? Was the word romantic just full of hot air, or had the candles burn out too quickly? Later, Lucy said that the passion had only lasted for the first month. After that, they had nothing to talk about. They had no common interests, and their values were worlds apart. The most unbearable thing was that one loved spicy food and the other loved sweet. They could never agree on a meal. They both felt the other didn't understand them, and any disagreement led to a fight. After the fight, they would forgive each other and think it was true love. But the next day, they would fight over some other trivial thing. It was utterly exhausting. Finally, after one big fight where they yelled, break up, they really did. At the time, Luna had been envious of the grand gesture. She thought it was incredibly romantic. Afterwards, she changed her mind. Such ceremonies were useless, and in fact, seemed rather casual. In contrast, her relationship with Cole had none of those superficial formalities. Yet their interactions were like perfectly meshed gears. The lubricant might be a look or a small gesture, and of course, the way he greedily doted on her. What were lovers' quarrels? What were incompatible values? What was not being able to eat the same food? Luna had no concept of these things. She couldn't distill any great wisdom from it, but if she had to say something, it would be that they were simply destined to be together. The corners of her mouth, hidden under the covers, turned up slightly. She didn't realize that the director next to her had suddenly gone silent. Jasmine's mind was currently a cacophony of alarm bells. Luna's answer was as good as saying she liked him. But that wasn't the critical point that set off Jasmine's alarms. Her brother was a great guy. Of course he would have a way with women. It was normal for girls to like him. What she was thinking was, everyone at the company likes him. Images of Serena, Yvonne, and Amy flashed through her mind. And others. She felt her head start to spin. She had never thought about it deeply before, but now that she did, it was terrifying. Well, that Whitney Yuan is probably fine. She doesn't seem interested, and she's just average looking. But Serena, Yvonne, and Amy are another story. Serena was a high school classmate and would be their future legal counsel. And she was a major suspect for the perfume scent at the gym that day. Yvonne spent the most time with her brother, more than anyone, and that Amy was pretty too, and had been showing up at the office frequently lately. Suddenly, Jasmine felt as if her man was surrounded by a pack of wolves. One wrong move, and the man she had so painstakingly nurtured would be devoured. Oomph. and he's probably loving every minute of it. The injustice was infuriating. Jasmine threw off the covers, got up, and slipped on her down jacket. "Are you going to the bathroom?" Luna asked naively. "Yes," Jasmine said, her tone calm as she quietly left the room. She walked over to the wooden sofa, listened for a moment. He seemed to be asleep. Jasmine didn't care whether he was asleep or not. She reached out and gave him a sharp pinch. "Ow!" Cole, who had been pretending to be asleep, cried out in pain. "What's wrong?" He was terrified. "Have I been completely exposed?" "Nothing. Go back to sleep," Jasmine said coolly, but her fingers pinched him a few more times. Still not satisfied, she leaned down and bit his cheek. Not hard, just trapping a bit of flesh between her teeth and grinding. It wasn't a harsh pain, more of a dull, agonizing ache. Cole was baffled. What did I do? If I was caught, it wouldn't be this light. But if I wasn't, where did this unprovoked attack come from? But more than that, Cole the simp was worried about his sister catching a cold. "It's too cold. Go back inside and sleep, or you'll get sick. You can bite me tomorrow, okay?" The words hit their mark. More than half of Jasmine's anger miraculously vanished. She released him and twisted his ear. "I hate you." Though it was a declaration of discontent, it acted like an aphrodisiac, sending a fire straight through Cole. He wrapped an arm around her neck and pulled her in for a kiss. Jasmine's eyes widened. The little devil. He dares. She panicked. If his parents in a master bedroom heard this, it would be mortifying. She started pinching him frantically. It was useless. Resigned, she gave in, trying her best not to make sound. Click. The door to Cole's room suddenly opened. "Director Young, what's wrong?" Jasmine shot up as if she'd been caught in the act, her heart pounding against her ribs. "Director Young, what's wrong?" Luna, wrapped in her own down jacket, asked quizzically. It was too dark to see clearly, but she could make out Jasmine standing by the sofa. "Oh, nothing. I was just checking if Cole was sleeping okay." Jasmine feigned composure. She then asked, "Are you going to the bathroom?" "Yeah, me too." Luna's gaze was tinged with suspicion. She thought she had just seen Director Young straightening up from a bent-over position. Was she tucking him in? "Okay, then go ahead." Jasmine wrapped her jacket tighter around herself and calmly walked back to the room. Luna glanced at Cole on the sofa. It was too dark to see clearly. She couldn't tell if he was asleep. She went into the bathroom and flicked on the light. But the toilet bowl seemed dry. Hadn't Director Young used the bathroom? Forget it. I won't think about it. As she walked out of the bathroom and past the sofa, she paused. She glanced at the closed bedroom door, then at Cole, and her heart began to race. She tiptoed closer to where his head lay and whispered, "Brother, are you asleep?" "Huh, Lou. I just fell asleep. Go back to the room. Don't catch a cold," Cole said, his voice thick with feigned sleepiness. "Oh, okay." Luna was slightly disappointed. Just as she was about to turn away, a hand grabbed hers. Her heart leaped. Both shy and delighted, she bent down. A long moment later, Cole broke away from the fruity taste, cupped the young girl's face, and whispered something in her ear. In the darkness, a crimson blush spread across Luna's face. She glanced at the bedroom door. Then, fighting her wildly beating heart and her shyness, wrapped in her down jacket and fueled by her racing heart, she didn't feel the cold. In the darkness, Luna's face was flushed, her lower lip caught between her teeth as she endured it all, one ear cocked for any sound from the bedroom. She felt like a thief's accomplice, helping him carry away the loot from her own home. It was torture, but a happy kind of torture. "Luna, are you done yet?" Jasmine's voice called from the room. Luna jumped like a startled squirrel, pulling away from Cole's greedy mouth and straightening up her sweater. She touched her burning cheeks, too embarrassed to look at him again, took a deep breath, and walked back to the room. Half-sated, Cole smacked his lips. In his makeshift bed, he winked at the ceiling. "Ha! The taste of life. It's pretty damn good." Back in the room. "What took you so long? Aren't you cold?" Jasmine stared at the dark ceiling, her mind racing. Why was she gone for so long? And it was so quiet. She judged others by her own standards. It couldn't be. Could it? Huh. Was it long? It didn't feel long. "I just came out when I heard you call," Luna said, her face blushing, her eyelashes fluttering. Let's get some sleep," Jasmine said, deciding she was probably overthinking it. Okay. Though they both said they were going to sleep, they lay with their eyes wide open, each lost in thought. The bedroom was silent, but far from peaceful. The unseen air crackled with restless brainwaves. The next morning, both Jasmine and Luna felt a pang of guilt when facing Cole's parents. On the surface, however, all three acted as if nothing had happened. Around 11, Cole told his parents they were heading out and led the two girls toward the Creekside Galleria. The neighbors all wore strange expressions. The Chin family's boy was really going places. It wasn't that they knew he'd started a business. It was purely because of the two girls. Everyone knew the Yang family's daughter, tall, beautiful. Some of the old gossips had even tried to play matchmaker for her in the past, only to be firmly rejected. The girl next to her was no less stunning, each with her own unique charm. Among the neighbors, especially the teenage boys, their eyes practically bulged with envy and jealousy. A guy with two girls in tow. Now, that was impressive. It was the ultimate male fantasy. At that moment, on the street below the Galleria, Serena, Haley, and Leo were already waiting. They were chatting about their freshman year experiences. Suddenly, Leo nudged his head to the right. Look, Tyler's car. He's probably with that whiny girlfriend of his. Serena and Haley followed his gaze. Tyler's BMW was pulling into the parking garage entrance. After a quick glance, the two girls lost interest and went back to talking about school. The BMW's window rolled down, revealing Tyler's triumphant face. In the passenger seat was a girl with heavy makeup and long, fake eyelashes. Serena, Tyler shouted, waving. He completely ignored Haley and Leo. Serena glanced over and gave a cool nod in response. With cars behind him, Tyler had no choice but to drive on reluctantly toward the underground garage. That guy is such a piece of work. No regard for his old classmates at all, Leo said indignantly. Haley was there that day. At the class reunion, he was showing off his wealth, and a few others were sucking up to him. And it wasn't just showing off. He was mocking and humiliating a few of the guys who got summer jobs, making them lose face. And then there was Jason and Heather, who were dating. He made a dirty joke to Heather right in front of Jason. It's true. I don't know what happened to Tyler, Haley said, sounding as if she deeply felt it. Forget him. We walked different paths, Serena said calmly. Just as she finished speaking, her eyes lit up and a smile bloomed on her face. She waved toward the intersection. Cole and the two girls were crossing the street. Haley waved too. Leo waved as well, but he gave Serena a surprised look. When had she become so enthusiastic? She didn't used to be like this. Haley, however, looked normal. She already knew Cole had started a company and that her best friend and Cole were on the verge of getting together. She just didn't know how intimate they were. She had asked, but her friend had been vague, refusing to give a straight answer about whether they had kissed. She guessed they definitely had. Serena's large eyes sent a subtle, flirtatious glance toward Cole. Then she warmly introduced Luna. It was only at this moment that Leo found out Cole had started a company and that the great Serena Shun was going to be its legal counsel. He was stunned. He punched Cole on the shoulder. Dude, we're not friends anymore. You didn't even tell me. It's still in the early stages. Talking about it now would just be bragging, Cole said with a grin. He hadn't felt the need to say anything. Telling his friend would have felt like showing off, creating an unnecessary rift between them. I don't care about that. You have to hook me up in the future, Leo declared, latching on. He figured Cole must have won a lot of money from that sports bet. But even if he hadn't, just being able to rope Serena into his company was enough to make him want to join. He was truly impressed. 3 of them. Anyone who wasn't blind could see it. The way these 3 goddess-like girls, including Serena, looked at Cole. A deep worry for her best friend's future bloomed in Haley's heart. What in the world is this strange relationship? Unfortunately, it wasn't the right time to ask. She could only bottle up her confusion and bring it up later that night. The 6 of them didn't go into the Galleria, but walked past it to a roadside barbecue joint. It had long tables with charcoal grills in the middle, where you could cook your own food. There were 3 or 4 other tables of young people eating and drinking, a mix of locals and students from the Linden Creek high schools. Cole's group drew everyone's attention. It wasn't that Boss Chun was exuding some domineering aura. It was simply that the 3 girls were terrifyingly beautiful. It was impossible not to stare. One table was full of students from their old high school. They recognized Serena, but no one dared to greet the icy campus queen. There was one long table free outside, just big enough for 6 of them. The seating arrangement, however, made Serena a little unhappy. Cole was flanked by Luna and Jasmine, leaving her to sit directly opposite him. Her resentful little glances flew toward him periodically. She wanted so badly to sit next to him. But alas, in Linden Creek, she had to be a good girl. Her heart ached with a single thought. Hurry up and let the semester start. I can't take this. They chatted while they grilled, mostly listening to Leo's gossip about his university. Cole would chime in occasionally. The various stories of relationship drama had the girls gasping in surprise. Just as the conversation was getting good, they heard Tyler's voice from a distance. Serena, there you are. I've been looking all over for you. As he spoke, he walked over, the girl with the eyelash brushes by his side. They were so long they looked like 2 tiny brooms. She was dressed in a fur coat and tall black boots. A few other guys and girls, all dressed in trendy winter clothes, followed them. Cole was surprised to see a familiar face among them. The familiar face was just as stunned to see him. Tyler swaggered over, an expression on his face that said, "I own this town." He completely ignored Cole and Leo. They were just two high school classmates, no longer worthy of his attention. As he got closer, his eyes lit up. It wasn't just Serena. There were two other equally gorgeous girls here, infinitely better than his current girlfriend. He decided there was no way they were with Cole. They must be Serena's classmates. Tyler suddenly regretted bringing his girlfriend out. "Serena," he said, his voice full of confidence, "why don't you move upstairs to a private room? My treat today." "No, thank you, Tyler. You go have your meal. And also, please use my full name," Serena said, quickly glancing at Cole's face, afraid he would be offended. Tyler's smile froze for a second, but he didn't dare get angry. He knew better than to cross Serena. Cole turned to look at the walking, talking embodiment of a failed chemistry experiment that was Tyler and smiled. "Well, if it isn't Tyler, then what's his name? What's the matter? You don't recognize me?" Since they were eating, he held back the profanity. "T.C.H. Sorry, didn't see you," Tyler said, his nose in the air. "You know, I think you still owe me something," Cole reminded him. "Don't you go making things up. I don't owe you anything," Tyler denied flatly. "Tyler, I'm not trying to start something, but if you have any shred of decency left, you'll go apologize to Jason and Heather," Leo said, giving him no face at all. They all knew each other's backgrounds. No one was afraid of anyone. Tyler's family had made some money, but it was through a connection at the county government. Their gravel pit was just a gravel pit with no special shady background. Leo's family, on the other hand, was large. His relatives ran butcher shops in several of the surrounding towns. As a modern-day Port Prince, he wasn't one to back down. "Leo, what are you talking about? I was just joking around. Can a guy make a joke?" Tyler chuckled. The Butcher family was crude. No need to get into a pissing match with them. His shifty eyes darted toward Jasmine and Luna, trying to think of an excuse to get to know them. But then a guy next to him raised a hand in greeting. "Miss Young, you're here too." The guy had long, swooping bangs covering his left eye, a clear relic of the emo era. "Oh, ciao. We're full today, so I won't ask you to join us," Jasmine said with a smile. This was the son of a factory manager at her family's company. He had seen Jasmine at company dinners, but Cole had never been to one, so he didn't recognize him. "No problem, Miss Young. You enjoy your meal. We're going for hot pot in a bit," Chow said with an impeccable attitude. Many of the managers had thought about setting up their kids with the sole heiress of the Yang family. Then, nothing came of it. The kids were on completely different levels. "Chow, you know her?" Tyler asked, surprised. This was perfect. He was just looking for an in, and here it was. Chow leaned in and whispered a few words in his ear. Tyler's eyes lit up. This was a perfect match, family to family. He had never really dared to dream of getting with Serena. He was just shooting a shot. But this was different. Both their families were in business. Just as he was about to speak, Cole shot him a look. "Don't even think about it. I'm about to lose my temper." He could tell what Tyler was planning with his eyes closed. This classmate wasn't worth having. When they first started high school, he had seemed like a decent guy, but he had slowly become more and more arrogant. Cole suspected his family had paid his way in. The girls' faces were all like stone. Jasmine said coldly, "Chow, take your friend and leave before things get ugly." Tyler's chest tightened with anger, his face showing his indignation. "I haven't even said anything. I just want to make some new friends. You guys are so narrow-minded." He dangled his BMW keys, spinning them a few times. "Sigh, it's a pity. So what if someone gets into a top university? They still have to come out and work for someone else." A guy behind him couldn't take it anymore, afraid Tyler would embarrass himself further. "Tyler, let's go eat. I'm starving." Cole looked at this guy and smiled. "What's the matter, Simon? Not even going to say hello to me?" He hadn't expected to see Simon here, the guy who was always trailing after Julia. He had even pulled an extra $100 bill from his waistband during their coffee bet. "Ahaha, boss Chun. Sorry, I didn't realize it was you." Simon looked a little sheepish. He was too embarrassed to say hello. That time he had foolishly bet on the coffee had been a huge loss of face. Plus, Cole was no longer just a tea shop owner. He was the owner of Headline today. The tables had turned. His family had some money, but ever since he saw how many ads were on Headline today, he knew he couldn't compare. "You're from Linden Creek too?" Cole asked, curious. "No, I'm from the next city over. I knew Tyler from before. Just came to hang out," Simon said, his smile friendly. Tyler, standing next to him, felt something was off. "Boss Chun, what does that mean? Could it be Cole is some kind of ex-special forces soldier returned to the city, posing as a student at our high school?" His eyes widened as he looked at Serena. "Could it be Cole is her master bodyguard? Then, his pupils constricted to pinpricks. Or maybe, Cole is the disciple of some hidden master, sent down from the mountains with an arranged marriage to Serena? In that case, has the engagement been broken off yet? No one knew about the drama playing out in Tyler's head. Simon, however, saw his face twitching and, taking pity on him, tugged his arm. Tyler, he's your classmate and you don't know? Headline today, the app one told you about, the one you said was so fun? Well, this is the founder. Boss Chun. What? The owner of Headline Today is Cole. Tyler was dumbfounded. He had even registered an account with the username The Lou Group's Heir. This? How would he believe this? The guy from his class who never stood out was the owner of Headline Today? It was impossible. To Tyler, it was as if the town welfare recipient had suddenly become a millionaire. It was too incredible. How was it possible? He shot Simon a look that was half doubt, half disbelief, as if to say, for real? Simon just nodded helplessly. With the answer confirmed, Tyler couldn't even lie to himself anymore. His face drained of color. The prestige of the Lou Group's heir was gone. While he was still driving his father's car, the other guy was already Boss Chun. Tyler's face went from white to green and back again. His eyes were vacant. He stood there for several seconds without speaking. Let's go. Let's get hot pot, Simon said, pulling his arm. He turned to Cole. Boss Chun, let's chat when we have a chance. We're gonna go. He dragged Tyler away, regardless of his dazed state. Miss Young, I'm heading out, said the emo relic Chow. Okay, go ahead, Jasmine nodded. The girl with the long eyelashes, however, threw Cole a flirty smile and a wink, just like the way Cole used to harass Serena. Only this was much, much bolder. It caught Cole completely off guard.